Wait.
I'm waiting for it to go live right now. Are we live? Are we live? Oh, we are. Yes. Wait, no.
I'm alive.
Okay, yeah, the Facebook thing. I know. Go. It looks like the broadcast was deleted from Facebook. I don't care. Are we live, people? Am I? I'm talking to the live people. Okay, hey, we're not on Facebook now. Now that you know that. Oh well, StreamYard screwed that up. And by StreamYard, I mean me. Hi, folks. Let's start this. Take two. Nothing happened before now. We are here with the fabulous EJ, where are we going? Amazing Jokpal Freeman. We'll be joined by some other people like Nora Foisey and Kemazotz later on. And we are going to talk about mutual aid. I want to find out what you folks in the chat have been doing. I can talk about what I've been working on. And if you didn't do anything, no, you're fine. But you should be, and you should be trying to get things together. And if you've been planning things, you haven't got underway, if you've not been able to figure out what to do, then that's what we're here for. We're trying to get more people doing the aids mutually. Just realized how that sounded.
Bless you, my son.
All right.
Yes, and more you need to do.
Yes. Speaking of helpful things, I don't know what that was a transition. Jokpal Freeman, you
moving away from the AIDS.
Yeah, you just got freed, right? You just got your court appeal.
Yeah, so last year, when I was released from prison by a court, the immigration police stormed into the prison and without any uniform, without any ID, without any orders from courts or from government institutions, just three random guys without uniforms told me to put my hands together. So I put my hands together, and they tied my hands with rope around my wrists, and they took me out of the prison, put me in a car, and drove me off to an unknown destination. And then from that point on, it was like a year of the government and the government representatives lying to, not just to me, of course, but on TV to the entire Bulgarian public and anybody who was watching. But yeah, so first they said that I didn't have a passport, and that's why I was just waiting for a passport, and I would be leaving. Then I got a passport, and they said, Jock still doesn't have a passport in his hands. He needs to have the passport in his hands. Because the Australian authorities said we're going to keep Jock's passport to keep it safe with us, and when you're going to go, we're going to give it to you in your hand and you go. So they used this as some type of excuse. So then Australia said, oh, fuck this, here, take your passport, Jock, because Bulgaria is blaming us. So they gave him my passport, and then it continued. Jock can't go because he doesn't have his passport in his hand. So then they came to Australia, informed Bulgaria that I'd been given my passport in my hand, and so the 60 police came to raid my cell in the immigration prison to get my passport, and they found my passport and took it. And then I said fuck this, and I told my mate, I had made photos previous to with an unregulated mobile phone. I had made photos of me holding my passport in the prison, and I just called my comrade and I said, just put the photos on Facebook. And then journalists were saying, well, look, he's got his passport in his hand. Like, why is he still in immigration prison? Why is he still here? And so they released me the same day from the immigration prison. And then for 1 year, the Ministry of Interior, which is directly controlled by the government, like there's no absolutely no bureaucratic separation between legislative and executive powers here. It's just symbolic. They were telling everybody that for 1 year that they hadn't been informed that I had been released from. I couldn't leave the country. And then so we won the first case against that they need to be informed that it's their obligation to know that I'm free from prison. And then they appealed, and then we won the second and last instance we won last week, that I am allowed to leave the country.
Very nice. Now that you can leave the country, you can't go anywhere anyways because of COVID. But yeah, that's just crappy timing. But it's awesome to know that you can. It's actually a relief off of my shoulders. Not maybe slightly less of a burden on mine than yours, but it's good. It's good to know.
There are still countries around Europe where you can travel now. It's not a full lockdown around here. Like Turkey's open for business. Sweden. There are lots of countries around Europe where they don't have heavy restrictions. Greece just went back into full lockdown. No tourists. Only residents and citizens are allowed in.
Yeah, that's how. Well, no. We're allowing some work visas now over here, but we're getting ready to go into our second lockdown in Taiwan. Just cause, basically, they're just worried about flu season bringing back a second wave, which flu season's already started, as far as I understand. But I don't know, maybe it starts later here. But they're retightening their restrictions. You know, you have to wear a mask in all eating establishments, things like that. Just cause, like, there's no new cases or anything. We're just being safe, I guess. And meanwhile, places like America are just like, we surrender. The virus won.
Yeah.
Tell us your terms, virus.
That's pretty much what's happened over here. Yeah.
Trump did literally say, like, we're not going to fight the virus anymore.
Yeah. He's
like, just going to focus on the
election.
Vaccine. Oh yeah,
on the election,
the rigged election.
Oh, it's so funny watching that over here. I mean, you guys are also watching it from afar, but it's just, for me, it's hilarious. It's been the best TV for a long time. You know, I really wanted Trump to win because I just loved it how he was just completely fucking America, especially internationally. Like, he really destroyed really, really old, hardcore capitalist imperialist institutions like NATO. Like Germany and Europe were like, oh my god, if America continues with Trump or people like Trump, basically no one in the world is going to be able to rely on America for anything anymore. So
he did set the soft power back like tremendously. I think I think America's like, well, and China's going to devastate. I mean, devastatingly make America irrelevant in terms of soft power, I think, with the Belts and Roads Initiative and all that.
Make America irrelevant again.
It's just, I mean, like, which is why, Biden just chose the new, I don't think she's been chosen yet, but the person who is probably going to take the Secretary of Defense slot is this, like, I think she's a Navy admiral, but her big thing is she said that we have to be, the most important priority for the United States needs to be able to credibly threaten to destroy China's entire fleet all throughout the ocean within 72 hours. That's like that's what she thinks is really important. So I think that the U.S. is going to start just really, like, I don't know. I think even under Biden, I'm not an expert on this stuff, but it does seem like the focus is going to switch to hard power against China because there's just no way you could catch up to the soft power. I mean, South Korea and I think India, a couple of countries are trying to create counter proposals to the Belt and Roads Initiative, and just nobody cares because the Chinese Belt and Roads Initiative is just so dominating right now. It's like, and it's going to affect like 40% of trade around the world within like 2 or 3 years, I think. I was just reading about that last night. It's going to be major. I mean, regardless of whether you like China or hate China or whatever. It doesn't matter what you think about China, but the fact of the matter is they're going to be a freaking powerhouse. They already are,
Who hates
and they're just going to keep steamrolling. I think for years to come. I mean, and the U.S. is just like Jacques was saying, like they're just making ourselves. I never know if I should say we when I talk about the USA because like
No,
I fucking
Yeah, right. How does that?
completely oppose that state, but you know I am a citizen, so it's like. But anyway, yeah, the USA is going to be so irrelevant soon. I don't know if Biden could possibly pull us out of that.
Yeah, I don't want to.
Which is probably a
absolve
good thing.
myself. I don't want to absolve myself of like being a member of that state.
I know, but it makes me feel disgusted when I say like we.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
State.
I definitely am a believer that you should say we when you are identifying with a collective. If you don't identify with the collective of the United States of America, then there is no we.
Yeah.
It's we are
that
the
would
we,
be a good thing with the Americans.
and they are the they. They are the them.
I do want to get rid of that citizenship as soon as I can, but it's rough. It's not a simple matter. I've had people call me out on that too. They're like, "Why don't you just burn your passport and stop being a citizen?" And I'm like, "Do you know what it means to be stateless? It's not exactly like
Yeah, exactly.
It's not the simplest thing to even do, and it costs thousands of dollars. By the way,
You literally just asked one person who, if anyone knows what it means to be stateless, knows what it means to be stateless.
I mean, it costs like thousands of dollars to get rid of your U.S. citizenship. Also, in addition to all the other things.
Although, from multiple people. Yeah. Wait. Still?
No. When I was in prison, Australia was like useless for me, the state, and I actually asked. Yeah, I actually just asked like lawyers and people if it was possible for me to renounce my Australian citizenship and become stateless and just sit in prison stateless. I didn't feel Australian, and other than like family and friends living there, but I've got family and friends living in other places as well. So I wanted to become stateless, and all the lawyers told me that it's illegal to be stateless.
Right.
So
illegal to who?
Illegal.
It's like capitalist realism, but like the state version. State realism. It's impossible to not be.
Yeah, there's the United Nations, some charter somewhere in some document somewhere that you're not allowed to be stateless. So you always have to be connected with one state or another, which really
you get
sucks.
put up for auction, and they it's like a joint custody.
Well, it's like Marx, you know, Karl Marx. He basically just got kicked out of one state to another, like.
Yeah. Ho Chi Minh too. Ho Chi Minh had to like run from the law, like, and was imprisoned in Taiwan, I think, if I'm not mistaken, and a few other places.
That
I got a question real quick while we're on the subject from Scholar Sabo in my chat. I made a tweet about. I'll just really briefly explain this so that people can maybe understand if they don't, about the soft and hard power thing. But I made a tweet about how I think that because the USA is becoming increasingly irrelevant in terms of soft power, especially because of the damage Trump did that Jog touched on. So I just don't feel like people are trusting or seeing the USA as particularly, useful basically for their international foreign policy strategies and trade strategies and that sort of thing. And China is going to become much more useful and relevant. And they have this big international trade apparatus they're trying to build called the Belt and Roads Initiative, which I recommend everybody kind of get that on your radar because it's going to become more and more important. But anyway, I have this fear that, and especially seeing that Biden's choosing this admiral as like the potential pick for Secretary of Defense, that the USA will try to compensate for the lack of soft power with hard power by like militarizing and building up the fleet in the Pacific area especially, and possibly even starting like brush fire wars or maybe even real wars. But that's what I was talking about in my tweet. Yeah, Jack.
I feel like I'm really bad at interrupting people.
No, that's
so
you did a good job actually. You raised your hand. Yeah. You didn't interrupt me. So.
Well, that's what I'm trying to do. I think the power hegemony and the imperialist control of the United States of America has always been hard power, because basically anytime any state or community or society tries to break out of that hegemony, like you get CIA, bombs.
That's a good point.
Invasion, boots on the ground, like so.
That's a good point.
so basically, it's not just like soft power has always been based on the ability to say we can completely destroy, smash your infrastructure, your government, your state, your people, and I think really that's really so connected to the power of the American dollar that actually the American dollar, as we all know, is worthless. It's got no real value.
No, technically, yeah.
Yeah, and so
It's
I
fiat.
think this is I don't know if I've read this or if it's more my personal opinion, but I think really the power of the American dollar is actually coming from the fact that the American dollar is paid to American soldiers who are to the American army, and so it gives it value because you've got such a huge amount of people in the world connected with the American military, not just the army, of course. And not only that, but then when they go abroad, then they're using those American dollars. So you have it's not just that, but that's like a really solid foundation that wherever America is going for these, imperialist holidays, like Iraq or Afghanistan, they're flooding those areas with American dollars. And then you have, like, for example, Gaddafi, who said, we're no longer going to accept American dollars for oil. Saddam, we're no longer going to accept American dollars for oil. I think also Hugo Chavez also refused American dollars for oil. I think also Iran has boycotted the American dollar. So you get this second attack on the hegemony of the dollar, and then also you have the physical threat. Basically, every country that has tried to step outside of the American control is invaded or assassinated. And the problem now with China is that basically they're seeing that China basically has been able to defend themselves, and will the United States of America be able to threaten China in the same way that they've threatened the world, basically.
Yeah. I've also read that the guns, the military arms exports of the USA are like massive for backing up the dollar, because like 3/4 of the weapons that go to the Middle East come from the USA and close USA allies, and like 90% of the guns that go to Central and South America. So like our guns are just like flooding everywhere, and you know they're at the source being bought with dollars. So I've heard that actually has a major impact on like the global and drugs. Also, drugs is like a big part of it too, because the big market, the big market is America for drugs. So it's like
what a lot of people don't understand is that when states are actually providing like aid, which is closer to the AIDS that Brad Beard was speaking about earlier, what happens is the states fund the states like have some program. So this is what, for example, Norway is doing this now with Bulgaria. So Norway gives money to Bulgaria, but on the stipulation that a certain percentage of the money is used to buy stuff from Norway. And it's not a loan; it's charity. And a lot of states do this. They fund like programs, but then you have to use that money to buy stuff back from them. So for example, America gives cash to some despot like charity and says, this is for your security, you need to buy weapons with this, and you can buy our weapons. So it's also a way of washing social collectivized money. So you have your taxes that go to the state, and then we can privatize this by giving it away as in a form of charity, and then you have to buy our stuff from private companies and private companies, basically, which is privatizing then the social wealth.
Yeah, it reminds me of company credit, like with the factory workers, where you have to live on the factory town in their land, and then you can only use the factory money to buy from factory stores.
The company
kind of the same idea. Yeah, the company stores.
I have my grandfather grew up as a sharecropper, so I have a personal connection to that. So the question I have for the panel is, how could we push back against these hegemonic power structures? Perhaps with direct action?
Yes.
Not me anymore.
Yeah. To get back onto the point, or to get onto the point to start with. So this stream is based around I made a video 1 week ago calling for people to go do some dang on direct action, do some of that mutual aid, and I want to hear about it. I want to hear what you've been doing. I want to hear what you did, what you're planning to do, what you want to do, what you're wondering about, what you don't know what to do. I want to hear it all. I want to try to answer it all. I want to get the people in the chat to do work for me and answer it as well as in the panel. And
if you're gonna talk like that the whole time, you got to put on that trucker outfit. You
fine? I'll put on my trucker hat.
We need a leftist trucker.
My trucker hat.
There's got to be some leftist truckers out there. We need somebody to.
Oh yeah. Sure.
Well, there was
I
Josh
know there
McCollum.
is. One came to visit me.
Teamsters. Really?
Yeah. He was
Did he try to break you out with his truck? That would have been a good heist.
But it was a really great visit and completely whopped off.
Okay, this thing actually makes me
That's awesome. We need to get I think, Jock, you should start writing, since you've got the experience. You need to start writing the Antifa heist movie, where instead of like robbing maybe you even are robbing a bank, but it's got something to do with like mutual aid or direct action. That would be a.
I typed in breadbeard into Google. It came up. Do you mean
Captain
breadboard?
Do you mean breadboard?
It's true. Captain. I didn't even see that. That's even funnier. Captain Breadbeard.
I am not Captain Breadbeard. I don't think I am. I'm more of a first mate.
Where's your boat?
I don't believe in all that hierarchy.
Nerd is in the chat. And Aeronaut. Hello, folks.
Let me tell you about the trucker.
Yeah.
So I went to a visit with to meet my father, and it's a 40-minute visit, so it's behind glass and it's like 2 pieces of glass and 2 wire fences, and it's a telephone, and you're 2 meters apart. It's like crazy old school prison conditions, and the visits are only 40 minutes, so you got to talk really fast, and that's why a lot of people say, bloody hell, Jock talks really fast. It's because I'm used to trying to speak about lots of stuff in 40-minute period times, and the phone turns off.
Oh my god!
So
that's good. That's good practice, actually, for like a podcast. You should start a 40-minute podcast and call it Visit. That would be awesome.
No, that would not be awesome. That would be like it'd be like slow torture. You just have to wait a couple of weeks to like build up the 40-minute podcasts and just play them from.
You could only get half
to work out what the hell was happening.
Oh, that'd be all of the inconvenience of prison, right to your ear.
Yes. Yeah, yeah, including with verbal abuse from the local guards. So I saw a guy. There was a guy sitting behind my father, far away, and I said to him, "This guy keeps looking at me. Obviously, he's here for me. Who is he?" And he said, "I'll let him explain who he is." And he came up to this. I said, "Hey, do I know you?" Because there's no time to be nice, you know. Like if you forget who someone is or you forget their name, you don't have hours to like casually like drop it or be polite or something. You just got to cut through the bullshit and say, "Hey, I don't remember you. Who are you?" And he said, "No, you don't know me. I'm a truck driver from the United States. I think he was from the United States. I don't think he was from Canada." And I said, "Okay, cool." And he said, "So I learned Russian at school, and I wanted to go practice my Russian. And my sister went to teach English in Turkey. So I thought I'm gonna go visit my sister in Turkey, and then I'm gonna travel by land to Russia through Europe to learn to go speak Russian, because I've never spoken Russian in a Russian speaking country before, even though I learned it at school." And he was traveling from Turkey to Russia through Europe, and he just Googled in every country what to do in Serbia, what to do in Germany, and he typed in Bulgaria, what to do in Bulgaria, and it came up. You can go visit Paul Freeman, and it was on a tourist
things to do.
It was on a tourist webpage.
Wow.
Things to see in Bulgaria, and it said you can go visit Jock Paul Freeman in prison, and he was like a quasi leftist guy, you know. I don't know how
You're
left
like
he
a tourist
was.
attraction.
Yeah, I was. I started looking, I started making jokes that I should be getting paid by the Bulgarian tourist
Yeah,
industry.
right.
Because I'm bringing tourists to Bulgaria.
Maybe that's why
Come
they
on.
kept you in there for so long.
There were times.
You're just desperate.
There were times when in prison, when you're like in space, you get like paranoid and you start having these crazy ideas. There were times when I seriously thought, are they keeping me in prison because they want me, they want my family's money that we're spending on buying packets of cigarettes, or are they keeping me in prison because the amount, like there are times when you go a little funny. Anyway, go back to mutual aid. So that was a fantastic example of mutual aid, even though like he came to visit me from the other end of the world, and it like really, like even now I'm happy about it. Like it just really brought my spirits up. And so I guess from a personal point of view, I guess I can really say, if people want to do something simple and something easy, one of the best ways is to support your local your local lefty who's in prison for something, and it doesn't even have to be for something political. Just keeping people connected with the community is really important, to stop people from going crazy, to stop people from becoming what's the word, disenchanted with different resistance efforts and thinking. So yeah.
Yes. During your day, technically, the J25 solidarity, we did a lot of pushing for people to write. If you can't go see them, that's understandable, because they're all around the world in different places. But
there should always be someone local. There should always be someone.
There's almost always someone. Yeah.
Like America, apart from China, which doesn't disclose its amount of prisoners, and probably North Korea, America is up there in the top 3 of the most incarcerated people per capita in the world.
Mm-hmm.
I think another thing you could do is volunteer at prisons in various programs. I've talked to a lot of people who are involved with that kind of stuff. I mean, I know that in the USA, there's a lot of like censorship, and obviously there are a lot of books that people cannot read in prison that are like political in nature.
That's crazy.
It varies a lot from state to state. Like where I'm from in South Carolina, like they can't read anything that's like anywhere remotely leftist or anarchist or communist or anything like that. So you might not be able to like directly go out and radicalize people in prisons, or they'll probably kick you out. But you can get in touch with like prison abolition groups, and you can get in touch with prison outreach groups, and maybe do some teaching in prisons or something to help people who are incarcerated. I watch a lot of. Say again.
Don't you love that you go to prison and to learn how to be social, and then they don't let you have social information.
Yeah.
You had a
disgusting.
You had a I remember on your TEDx talk, Jock, you had a great explanation of that. It's like prison was the actual social distancing.
Yeah, absolutely. And I don't understand where this fad came. Who this is another reason, like I got a little paranoid. Who was the asshole who started using this term social distancing to mean physical distancing? You're not really distanced when we're standing 2 meters apart from each other. We speak to each other. We can still send each other messages. We can still communicate. It's social distancing is ostracization. It's completely nothing to do with physical distancing. Social distancing is what happens to ethnic minorities in racist communities, prisoners, who is pushed out of mainstream society. This is what is social distancing. It's not it's not standing 2 or 3 meters away from somebody else. Like that's ridiculous.
Yeah.
But that's really interesting. I'm going to think about that a lot more. That's a fascinating point.
So yeah, people in prison need your assistance. It's easy, I think, to think about your community as the people walking around you only, even if you are having a big heart and you're thinking about your community and you're thinking about like the people who are hungry or homeless, that's great. You should do that, but don't forget about the people who are part of your community that have been physically removed from it or segregated from it in prison. Like they're still your people, and they still need your help. And if nothing else, The one, I guess it's horrible that this is the case, but it makes it easy to do mutual aid. Is simple things like writing a letter, will make a massive difference to them. It's horrible that they're in a situation where that makes the difference, I'm looking through the chat though. I'm trying to bounce between all the chats because there's technically 4 of them right now. There's the 2 YouTubes and 2 Twitches between mine and non-competes.
My Facebook too.
Oh, your Facebook? I'm not checking that.
If you're on Facebook, give us a shout out because you're being quiet.
If you're on my Facebook, you're lying because I forgot to turn it on within 10 minutes.
And I didn't know how to do it on mine because I'm a noob.
No, that's fine.
And Breadbeard hasn't showed me. His fault.
So I'm gonna get to that actually just a second, but I have been holding off too long on getting out some of the cool things I've been seeing. So Gray Owl says, I plan to help around the food hamper program at my partner's church. The semester is in final season, so I have unfortunately been unable to contribute right now. There's 2 great points to make out there. First, you don't have to do something huge and amazing. Go, talk to even if you're not religious, and actually Kamazat's, who should be on later, talked about this in one of his last streams. Even if you're non-religious or you're atheist, the church, fortunately, unfortunately, is the hub of many communities, especially in impoverished neighborhoods. They are kind of the community center, and that's where a lot of things happen or can happen. So unless, like, I get it, if you've been personally ostracized or you have a personal issue with religion that it's not, you don't feel safe in those situations, that's understandable. But if it's just a matter of you're not religious, but you don't burst into flame when you go into a church, then consider that. That's a great way to get involved with places that. There was
an awesome church in Charlotte, North Carolina, where I lived there for a while, and I'm not, I wasn't really participating in that church as like a member of the church or anything, but they did do homelessness. They did fantastic houseless or homeless outreach where they would basically, first of all, they had a kitchen in their church that anybody could go in 24 hours a day and use, and they kept it stocked. So like people could just not even just houseless people, but people that were food insecure, they could go and cook in that. It was a very cool church. They actually had also the first trans Catholic priest ever was somebody who went there and sang like every Sunday. So that was kind of an interesting thing too. But anyway, but also they would go out and hand out sandwiches and stuff, and they did not proselytize at all. They literally were just like, don't say anything, just hand out the sandwiches. Like that was the instruction they gave. So I went out with them a few times, and we would hand out sandwiches, that sort of thing. So like, there's a large gamut of like different kinds of churches out there. But if you see that, like, because a lot of people are telling me all the time, like I'm in a rural community or I don't see a lot of activity. It's like, if that's the only activity that's happening, it might still be worth checking out, even if you're not religious. And you might have some good conversations through it that might help you to kind of, obviously, you want to probably have a softer approach when you're talking to those folks, but it's just an option, perhaps, for some people that don't have a lot of options. Jock?
Somebody's going to make a screenshot of me and Photoshop me into a picture of Islamic State with my finger up. So with the food stuff, a group that's one of the only groups that's really active with that here in Bulgaria is a group called, which is international, of course. Oh, what's happened to Breadbeard? He's turned into a dog.
I think Uma
is going off on someone out there.
He's a were-dog. That's why he went off screen.
Yeah, so I just had to get my howl out real quick. Better now.
So
you continue. I'm gonna steal what she's
like. There are chapters everywhere. Food Not Bombs.
Yeah. That's a fantastic
Food Not Bombs.
Org. They're all over the place too.
Yeah. So they're all over the place. Yeah, and here in Bulgaria, I get a little bit. I follow them working in Indonesia, but here in Bulgaria, they're basically the only active support group. Actually, Food Not Bombs is so like more people, they need more money, they need more food. But the social center here that is providing food to homeless and vulnerable people, they often call them and say, we don't have food, we don't have the ability to feed people, can you do something? And people from Food Not Bombs are very often taking over the government food shelter services, and it's just mind-blowing. But also at the same time, I mean, it's real anarchy in practice. It's mutual aid. People are donating. Mostly small businesses are donating food, and then they are cooking it up and sending it to people. And also the other thing is, if there's no Food Not Bombs group, or just some small group to get started on something simple like that, I mean, you can always try and start one yourself. Like, try and get a bunch of friends together and just set up a table. And I have comrades in the United States who do this. They give out food, and they're constantly being harassed by the police. The police come and say, you don't have a vendor's license or something, you can't give food out for free. Like, this is insane. And they get harassed all the time. And they some of them, I think, have been arrested for giving out food. But I think, so some people can just make their own initiatives as well.
Yeah.
And that's how mutual aid can actually become a dual power structure. Is if you know, like Food Not Bombs can start out with just like a smaller scale mutual aid or something, like a program like that. But then once you start to actually like fill a need or a void that the state and the corporate and the NGO and the nonprofit apparatus are not filling, that's when you start to have a dual power structure, and people are starting to rely on ourselves, basically our community and mutual aid activity, more than they're relying on the state or the corporations. That is so powerful for propelling anarchistic, our movement. So I think that's really awesome.
Actually, this might be well, I'll quickly, before I move on to what I want to say, I'll quickly touch on someone opinions on graffiti vandalism. I'm all for it. Just it doesn't do any good to get yourself taken out of the street by getting arrested. That's all I'm saying. Propaganda is always useful. It's kind of a low tier, like not as important as other things.
About me?
Yes. No. What? You weren't exactly arrested for graffiti.
Paul Freeman. You failed the cause because you got yourself arrested.
No, if anything,
I think graffiti is the kind of thing, in my opinion, where it's like, know the risks going into it, and definitely like know what you're doing and get with people who know what they're doing, and in accordance with YouTube, Twitch, and Facebook policy. We would never break the law ever under any circumstances, because breaking the law is bad.
Yeah, but if you do break the law, you should not do it. But if you find yourself, I hope that you'll find that you're getting arrested for something that had a great gain involved, and graffiti might not reach that gain. So if you did do it, I hope that it was well thought out and had the best chance of not getting caught.
The following content has been deleted by Facebook for violating.
They'll literally just make it silent on Twitch.
For posting for 30 days.
But I think, like, doing things legally, but agitprop is very doing things within a legal framework. But doing any kind of agitprop, like whether it's putting out flyers or stickers or bathroom graffiti where it's permitted by law, or any kind of like that, like little small pieces of agitprop like that, they do build up. And I've noticed where, like, when I'm walking around, if I see some, like, and I see it sometimes in Asia, you'll see it sometimes. It's rare, but you'll see it. Well, I guess a better example would be just the fact that, like, living in Vietnam, I see like communist propaganda all the time that's like, focuses on working class solidarity and that sort of thing. But regardless, seeing that stuff does have kind of this, like, it's like one simple viewing doesn't really do much, but it has a cumulative effect to where if you start to see a message like that in your community frequently, I think it's got a cumulative effect to where it can start to build awareness and build.
I definitely think
in the community.
It's good stuff. Just I'm not wanting anyone to take it off the streets, and then you've got to be one of those people we got to write to.
just mitigate the risks and try to don't just be like
one thing.
Don't know what you're doing.
If you are an artist, like if you've done some work that you've got a portfolio for, something you can do is go to your city like beautification council or whatever, or cultural council, or maybe it's a statewide thing, and talk to them about letting you do a mural. I've got a few friends here in Taipei. Taipei loves doing that. They'll like a whole skyscraper side. They'll let an artist paint up, which is kind of cool, but it's also still kind of like it's government funded art. Still kind of corporate art, but it's better than looking at an empty brick wall. But you could, if you happen to be a lefty and an artist, use that to get paid by the state to put in some type of subversive messages or symbology. Symbology is a word now.
The study of symbols.
Yes. There's actually one here in like the cool skate park kind of area of town. It's like 4 stories tall of Karl Marx battling Godzilla. I am not lying. And it is really cool looking in Taipei.
Who wins?
Like,
who's winning?
Well, no matter who loses, we win.
Godzilla's accelerationism over here from Bedbeard.
Well,
I was going to get back on track with
Oh, good.
Sorry.
Can is there anyone to take a photo of that for me? I guess it's probably on Google, huh? Marx and Godzilla.
The Karl Marx thing. I'll take a photo of it sometime this week. If
that's hell funny.
It might be up somewhere. You can look around. The point being that a lot of people are doing work. You don't have to go open up your own system. One of my main goals here is to show people that it doesn't have to be a big endeavor. Those are great, best planned with a committee or multiple people. Don't just run into those on your own. But I just want people to start getting and doing stuff. And the more you start doing little stuff, then you'll get enticed to do larger stuff. And those little things with lots of people are already larger things. So yeah, just getting some sandwiches out to people. That's what I did this week. That was probably my biggest thing that I did this week was I just went around to some homeless people in my neighborhood, and I fed them, and I talked to them about working together. We talked about putting together a community garden that's still in the works. It is a little bit different for me, being that I am not from this country. So there is a limit to where I don't want to seem like white guy coming in telling this country what to do, even though it's still very much a capitalist country. It's a sock them. But so mostly I focus my efforts, and that's why I'm online right here, is I focus my efforts on trying to organize or do things through the internet in America, where I feel completely okay with telling them to go stuff it. Or the government at least.
Well, I mean, not all forms of mutual aid and direct action are like insurrectionary. So like you can, you are a part of the community, and I think it's fine for you to go and participate in, like, for instance.
Yeah, I don't think what I did was wrong. That's why I did it.
No, yeah. Luna and I are getting involved with community gardening, which is actually being set up by so basically the local communist ward. So the best socialism, communism, whatever, the best versions of that, in my experience in Vietnam, happen like on the local level. Like the local neighborhood, they call them wards here. The local wards are actually very tightly organized, and I think pretty anarchistically organized, because I've been to a couple of meetings and observed, and it's very like participatory and consensus based, and it's like very little hierarchy. Like everyone can get up and speak at any time, and they do a lot of cool stuff on the local level, which is, I think, really, really awesome. And so the local ward here in Da Nang, in the tourist area, the tourist like peninsula, they're doing a community garden, and they're like actively going out and trying to get foreigners to come and participate. So we're going to be, Luna and I are going to go start working with that. And hopefully, I'm hoping, I'm not much of a gardener, so I don't think I'll be able to help much with the gardening, except maybe carrying the dirt or something for them. But I do hope we could have some productive conversations with people.
You sure?
Again, it's like you have to 90% of gardening is carrying dirt. You'll be
Maybe I'll be
fine.
great at it then.
You'll
I
be
don't-
fine.
If there's nothing else you take away from this,
There's going to
Take
be an
that.
old.
It's to carry the
There's going to
dirt.
be an old gardener somewhere in Vietnam who's going to be very appreciative of your help.
Well, I'm glad. I hope I can contribute in some way. But that's the thing, yeah. And then so for that, you have to prepare yourself to be able to talk to people and like learn how to. And I think one great organization that you could get instruction from with this, in an oblique, indirect way, though, is the IWW, because they do incredibly good training for how to talk to your coworkers in this kind of like subtle way where it opens up, and they kind of teach you some communication strategies that I think you could use in the wider world as well. So that's just a little point there. But anyway, yeah, be like kind of like start to strategize and train yourself on how to start having conversations with people so that you're not scaring them away and be like, "Hi, I'm a communist. I'm an anarchist. How are you today?" Like you have to kind of learn how to when you're having real life conversations with people. Like I think it has
Can
a
I
lot to do with
speak to you
asking
about our
questions.
living god, Karl Marx?
Exactly. Yeah, you got to you got to have the Communist Manifesto ready at all times to hand out to people.
yeah. Can I give you the good book?
Yeah.
The
Have
good
you heard the good
manifesto.
news about communism? So
well-
yeah, that's I think go ahead.
I was just going to say, going off of, well, first of all, I'm going to invite on the amazing Camazot's A.
Camizits!
Hey, ¿qué onda?
Whoa.
You sound like a robot.
You're like what are they called? Exterminate.
Yeah, a Dalek.
Dalek. Yeah. You're a dialect.
You sound like just like a dialect.
Well, dialect is already a thing. It's different than dialectical. So something that someone messaged you on your or quoted you or something on Twitter. Which that phrase always starts off well. No.
Yeah, my quote tweets lately have been fucking.
Oh, I remember
in
exactly
the
what it
dumpster.
was. It was Lucky Black Cat was messaging, asking about how is direct action or mutual aid actually beneficial to the cause, or does it actually bring people over to the left? And my statement would be, it cannot not, because it embraces all of our values in the action.
How's this? Am I okay now, or am I still?
Yeah,
I mean,
You
I'm
sound
liking
like
it, but it's
You sound like a voiceover from a late '90s CD-ROM game.
Híjole,
You
chingado.
sound
yeah,
like
you need to
cannon
record that
fodder.
and get on a. He needs to record that and get that on Neofeud too.
It's like an Encarta '96 encyclopedia
Crazy
sample or
frog.
something.
Jock, what did,
Crazy frog, right?
Jock, what did you want to say?
Maybe there is a misunderstanding here of what actually dialectical materialism means, because it just means that material things that we need to live with, like food, shelter, clothing, tools and instruments to do our work with, these things have a connection with society and the way we live and interact with each other. So dialectical material, basically Marx, he just took really simple concepts, analyzed them really well, and then turned them into terms and phrases that nobody understands except for only people who study Marx.
Well, I think he's easier. I think he took Hegel and he actually made Hegel easier to understand. But otherwise, I think you're right.
Yeah,
That's like
that's
low bar to
a
make
condemnation of Hegel or of his
really
of his prose.
Someone I read an analysis of that, and it was Marx reversed Hegelism.
Kind of.
basically, yeah. He turned it materialistically.
Yeah, he went from
I guess
idealism to materialism.
Just to try to briefly touch on Skylar's question there. To me, I think the most important thing is to understand that it actually touches on what Breadweaver was talking about too with Lucky Black Cat, the question of whether or not direct action and dual power aids the movement. I think it is the movement in a lot of ways. I call it materialist propaganda, mutual aid, because I think that people are much more likely to be receptive to your message if you're like actively helping them. A great example is Faye with Socialist Rifle Association, who talks about how when they go out and they're handing out care packages to elderly people during
I thought you were going to say when they go out
lockdowns.
handing out guns.
I wish they're working on that. That's a big problem.
They just got a big basket. They're just tossing them out like rice.
guns.
Guns.
Also, how's this? Am I
Awful. It's really not.
What did you do to it?
Are you fucking serious right now?
I'm
Did you
totally,
go
I'm not
swimming
kidding.
with your
I won't fuck with you
microphone
about audio
again?
problems.
What
Yeah.
the fuck? Okay, hold on.
I think it sounds like you have maybe the
Did
wrong.
you- I love my
Say
microphone
something right
so
now,
much.
Amazon,
I use it to
with
go
the
and I
unplug.
use it. I love my microphone so much. I shower with it.
Talk.
No.
Okay, so it is that
No.
microphone. You just have a problem somewhere else on the line.
Oh,
It sounds like we're getting a
It's
transition.
Godzilla.
Is
He's
this
coming
is this
for
bad
us.
or no? No, this is
No,
bad?
it's like it sounds like a digital thing. It sounds like a
can you hear me,
software
Major?
problem, not a.
Can you hear me, Major?
Maybe restart your computer. It sounds like
Uh,
software. It's like digital.
Oh man, you know, I really hope this isn't it. Hold on.
Marx is dead and Godzilla is coming for us.
Can you just say
Godzilla had one.
intergalactic, and if you say that, it'll be perfect. What the? Is Camazotz frozen, or is Camazotz in a very happy place right now?
That's a little bit of both.
Anyway, I'll talk about this while Camazotz is troubleshooting. So like, okay, so direct action and mutual aid are great forms of propaganda. They get people, like for instance, if you just look at the Black Lives Matter movement, I think that changed the conversation in a lot of ways and got people paying attention to ideas that are very left adjacent in terms of like abolishing the police and that sort of thing in a very powerful way. But when in terms of like mutual aid, it might be harder to see the. But yeah, so Faye with Socialist Rifle Association would go out and that organization goes out and hands out care packages and does things in the community, and they have conversations with people in the process of it. And so like when you're actually helping people and talking to them about their problems and trying to solve their problems, they're very receptive to what you're doing. And then the other thing is, like Jock was saying with Food Not Bombs, as mutual aid programs build and become more and more organized, they become dual power structures where we have power in our community and we serve functions in our community instead of or in place of the state. And to tie that in with dialectical materialism, one of the main principles of dialectical materialism is that qualities change because quantities change. And so what that really means is that like as things like nothing changes instantly, right? So like if a seed grows into a plant, there's this long period of time where it's like kind of in the middle or between being a seed and a plant. And as the quantity of characteristics that make it a plant build up, eventually it's a plant. So your mutual aid can dialectically and this is all like I think the best explanation is on Luna's channel. If you go to youtube.com/LunaOy. So because I don't want to talk about this forever, and I probably would if I really wanted to explain it. So if you go watch Luna's channel, she talks about how quantities can build up into qualities over time. And that's, I think, what we're doing with direct action and mutual aid is we're trying to change the very foundation, the structure, the material conditions of our community by building organizations and by showing our community that we can rely on each other and we don't have to go through the state apparatus and the government apparatus. So I think that would be kind of like how I would say that dialectical materialism, it's just dialectical materialism would just be a way of understanding it.
I would say the quantities, there's still quality there. It's just quantities of small quality that add together to be a larger quality. It's still all quality.
Yeah, well, dialectically speaking, quantities are like features, and then the quality is like the essence, essentially.
Yeah.
So, but this is getting very esoteric there. So
yeah,
like that's what socialism. Maybe that word is like what did Bernie Sanders do? Socialism. Maybe that word is not so appropriate if there are people watching in the United States because they're just people there are so hit by propaganda that they don't even know what it means. But let's call it like socially orientated economics. That's basically what materialism is about. The idea, and like I think maybe what people don't understand about dialectic materialism and mutual aid and how it all connects with each other. Your microphone is like now it's on.
I had you muted.
Yeah,
but you're open now.
So I think where it all comes together is that now people take it for granted that dialectic materialism is something foreign and strange and some strange ideology or some strange thing that needs to be defined or some magic or something. It just means that the material world that we live in, the food and the food are instruments or tools, work of trade, how we are living, everything that we are physically using day to day to live and exist. My jumper, this microphone, all these things are materials, and it's about connecting that into the way we live, and the fact that if one person has more or a lot more materials than another person, then there's going to be conflict within that society. So mutual aid is about it's like so directly connected with this, because it's about redistribution of wealth. So Marx, who coined the phrase, I think he coined the phrase of dialectical materialism. He was basically just saying we have a imbalance of wealth. We have an imbalance of materials, resources. We need to redistribute those resources. So mutual aid is part of mutual aid, and because it can also be political and solidarity and other things. Right now, we're just talking about the material side of mutual aid, but part of that is specifically about redistributing those materials. That's exactly what it is. So it's about and it's about living the society that we want to be in. That if I have time, if I have money, then I can give that to help a fellow worker, and then that's how we, through solidarity, build a community.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And
we had a comment from where is it at? Hold on. Takerna, who said dialectical materialism is the most intimidating name for the most basic shit ever.
Yeah.
And part of the reason I think it's the part of the reason it's so intimidating is because growing up in like capitalist society, we have no exposure to these ideas at all until maybe college level, if like you're lucky and you happen to have a degree that would like match you talking about that. But most people are never exposed to it. But for like Luna, for instance, she's my Vietnamese partner. Luna grows up in Vietnam, and they're teaching dialectical materialism when they're in kindergarten. So for her, it's like very basic, and she just thinks it's like very like common sense. Like in Vietnam, dialectical materialist ideas are very common sense because that's what they're exposed to their whole lives. So I think that it's something that like children can grasp, and they do grasp it in Vietnam. Even the lingo and everything else, like you can, like anybody can grasp it, but you have to. We're at a big disadvantage because we're like coming at it as like adults, and we're having to like go back and learn a lot of these basics, and so it can feel intimidating at first, and especially grasping the lingo and all that kind of stuff. But it is pretty simple. The basic idea is just like like Jock was saying, like everything comes from material reality. Everything is constantly in a process of change. And we as human beings can affect change through our labor, our interactions with nature, and the way that we decide to form our thoughts in our society. So,
and I'd say if you're trying to do a bit of like, propaganda while you're doing these direct actions, again, you don't have to. The deeds speak for themselves. It's this phrase has gotten a pretty scary connotation for good reason, but it's propaganda of the deed. It's doing propaganda by the actual act, outside of the whole bombing stuff. That's a whole different situation.
If you want to watch a fucking hour-long video on propaganda of the deed, come to my channel and watch my video that nobody watched. That I worked my ass off for
I watched it.
Like, nobody watched it. Breadbeard watched it.
Hi, everyone.
Camazotz talk. Hi, Camazotz. You sound like not a robot.
Yay. Hey. All right, let's do this again. Hola, mis compañeros. How is everyone doing? I am so happy to be here. I'm glad that I don't sound like I'm coming out of a tin can anymore. What up, EJ? I saw you throw a finger
dream
up.
last night. This is like Kismet or something. I had a dream last night that Luna and I went to like South America or something, and I was like, and we found some like communists somewhere, and I ingratiated myself into them by saying "Hola, compa." And
okay.
They were very pleased to hear me say that in my dream.
Hell yeah.
Thank you for teaching me some of the cultural and linguistic methodology to ingratiate myself to Spanish speakers in my dream last night.
Hell yeah. Yo, hopefully this COVID bullshit fucking ends, because I would really like to actually meet some of y'all motherfuckers. You know what I'm saying? But that being said,
dream walk. So
yeah, right. I'm glad you weren't cringe in your dream. I'm really glad that you didn't do the thing that
I was kind of wondering where that was gonna go.
Yeah, that's right. That's what I thought it was gonna happen. I thought you were gonna be like, yeah, we Copenhagen. And I was like, oh, you did?
No, I didn't say Copenhagen.
Why?
I did not. I should have maybe.
But good for you. Also, yeah. So for those who don't know me, I'm Camazotz. I am a content creator on Twitch, and whenever the mood sets me on YouTube. I focus primarily on trying to get people involved in direct action, but I primarily focus the attention for marginalized groups within leftist spaces. And so if that sounds like something you're interested in, please come and check me out on twitch.tv/Camazotz_alter. I would appreciate it. And I'd love to meet you. So, and then that being said, join an org, you nerds, to quote our friend, Thought Slime. And, yeah, there's a lot that I really think I've most recently there's been two questions in regards to dialectical materialism that I've run into on social media, which is one, actually Kay Swiftly reached out to me because there's a disagreement in her chat about anarchists not using dialectical materialism, and I was like, I don't think so, or whatever. Like, it's not part of our thing. And I was like, yeah, that's not true. And then the other thing was,
it's not part of our dogma, Camazotz.
Yeah, it's not part of our, but I mean, we still use it. Like, we still understand. Like, that's the thing is, I was like, and I told her, I said, look, like, I was like, sure, like, there are people that like don't want to call it that, but I was like, at the same time, we still understand that a dog shit in my lawn and I have to move the shit. and like, what do I have available to me to move this shit, and how do I prevent the dog from further shitting on my lawn? You know what I mean? And like that sort of thing. Like,
with a rifle.
Yeah, with a rifle. But like, and I was like, it's just a way of thinking. Like, to sit there, I was like, this is the problem. Like, where we get extremely dogmatic with our approaches to things, and we refuse to actually.
Oh, I got that dogmatic. I like
it's the long jokes. I'm working on it. I'm a new father, so I gotta do these things.
You gotta get the dad jokes.
Yeah. But no, it's frustrating because like we get caught up in these in the dogma of our ideologies, right? Like, it's just like there's absolutely no bending for some people, and it impedes a lot of our progress.
A lot of it's like team sports where like it's like that team uses it and we're against that team, so we can't use it. We can't use that.
Yeah, exactly.
It's and for me, I think that's one of the reasons why I try to educate so many people on the concept of Zapatismo, right? Which is the basically what the EZLN uses, right? Like their tendency, right? Like how they approach things, like, because there'll be a lot of times where people will be like, but the Zapatistas aren't anarchists, gotcha. And it's just like, okay, yeah, but they're also not Marxist-Leninists either. They do their own thing. They do what works for them, and that is all they ask other people to fucking do. They say, this is what we are doing, what are you going to do? Sorry, go ahead.
And also, I am so very, very goddamn sick of everyone, including the left, complaining about something not being perfect and complaining about it not fitting their definition. There's of course, Luna's been dealing with the whole Vietnam's not socialist thing, and you're saying, well, there's technically no fully communist country, and all these different things. You know what? And I'm gonna get off the leftist side and just going to focus on the liberals and the right side. When they complain, well, look at this, it's never worked. Do you know how long it took before capitalism got to even a stable point where it could do this, where it could at least have a hold? It's not like you've got some perfect plan. You say tomorrow, let's turn on the machine. Now we got the communism machine running and we're all good, or the anarchism machine. And everything's worked out. We already had the plans, everything. We just needed to turn on the machine. Yeah. No, I mean, even first of all, I would say for a plan that's very, very rarely worldwide used, and none to the fullest extent that we would like, we have vision way more than like the capitalists did, 300 years ago, or more than 300 years ago, but of how that would work. and what it would look like and what to implement. You know, there was just a bunch of lords saying we don't want to, we don't want to pay part of our money to the king. We want to just start going out and doing our own shit. And then they just, let's see how it goes.
We don't want to pay,
that was basically how capitalism started.
We don't want to pay taxes that we stole from the workers. Anymore.
Yeah, that we already took.
Yeah, you know, there's this thing where it's just like leading into like one of the things like I was talking about Zapatismo is like because they have, in my opinion, a good grasp on synthesis, right? Taking the victories and the failures of the past, taking in theory, and then, you know, applying to like what's happening currently, and just working it out for them. What's working for them, right? And I feel like we really need to be doing more of that. You know, obviously there's going to be some disagreements on certain things, and I feel like those things need to be handled where they are, right? So what I mean by that is it's like, look, certain groups in certain situations might need a quote unquote vanguard party or a defensive party in order to keep things going. But to say that that's needed fucking everywhere, probably not. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, go ahead, Chuck, I guess.
Oh, you guess. Just the party just means collective. Like, it's not something separate from a group of people. That's all the party means. There's no special characteristics given to party that isn't given to, for example, the Council of the Zapatistas. It's the same thing.
Yeah. No, absolutely. No. Yeah. But yeah, so it's like this. It's this whole thing of just
I like how Jock sounds a little bit like really cool, awesome Arnold Schwarzenegger sometimes. like Arnold Schwarzenegger if he wasn't a reactionary. It's like, see you at the party, Victor, which is the same thing as a collective, I'll have you know.
You take one part Australian, one part Polish, mix it together, you got leftist Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Some Bulgarian accent.
You're in Poland?
Yeah, Ken, this is the guy I was talking about the other day who just got his right to leave the country.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
But you said that you're staying there, right? Like that's that's
yeah. I mean, I want to stay here, but it's up in the air.
Okay, I was gonna say because I know it's fucking rough over there right now. Yeah, dude, you're fucking. That's mad gangster of you. That's fucking no. You're yeah. That shit's fucking amazing. Well, like, I don't know that's fucking like yeah.
If they
like,
shoot me tomorrow, people will just be saying, "Well, look, he could have left. What a fucking idiot."
Well,
I hope there's some sort of solidarity over there right now for you because that is excellent. That's fucking great. That's amazing. I mean, and like, look, like this is a prime example, right? Like with us, we need to be making these connections because in the same way, like in the same way that the Zapatistas have reached out and propagated this idea of global Zapatismo, right? In the same way that the Black Panthers in their original iteration reached out to Cuba, to China, for their support.
To Vietnam. Too,
to Vietnam. Oh yeah. And also to Vietnam. No, that's a good point. Yeah.
Is that now or before in their heyday?
In their like during the start of it, like they're back when they were first originally getting founded, and because like one of the biggest movements that the Black Panther Party of Self-Defense kind of like the momentum that they gained was off of like the draft not dodging. What the fuck is it?
The anger at the draft.
The anger at the draft. Yeah. And the draft protests and stuff like that. So, and they really ran with that, basically saying like, like, why are we going to die to maintain, the white man's war, more or less, because it's just like they ain't treating us right here. Why the fuck am I going to go over there and kill somebody else?
Muhammad Ali, he said it best, didn't he?
Basically, yeah, that, yeah. But yeah, no, like it's this whole thing. Like we need to be able to create these networks so that so if shit does go down, some like you have places where you can go and recuperate, rebuild that power. I mean, these are it needs to be a global movement, right? Like in order for any of this to succeed, it has to be everywhere. And so knowing and having knowledge of places that just aren't necessarily in Europe, and not just the United States, is very important.
Well, on that note, to learn more about Europe, Jock, you're opening up you're going to start doing live streaming soon, yeah? It's a perfect time for your internet to freeze.
They love to.
There you go.
With my Schwarzenegger voice.
Listen, come and just hang out for the smooth Schwartz voices. Yeah, okay, so Jock, that is your link, correct? That I put in the private chat. You said yes. This is me. Okay, yeah. Yeah, so Jock is going to be talking about
I don't really know how to use it yet.
Yeah. We're catching Jock up on the last 11 years he's missed while in prison with internet. Yeah. So that means you get to have like
thanks, mate. Thanks, mate. It was 12 years, yeah. But who's counting?
Well, the scary part is when you start losing count, yeah.
Yeah.
But you get to you get public. When Jock starts streaming, go check him out, because you will get the enjoyment of getting like a very cool, nice, interesting boomer, in the sense that like he has no clue about the streaming and the internet. I'm gonna be 100. I'm gonna be 100% on it. You're learning.
Do you know, a volunteer came to the association office to help me with some association work, a Bulgarian, and she called me a boomer, and I thought, well, what? Isn't this the generation from World War II?
Okay, boomer.
What?
Okay, we gotta think of a new phrase. What's a phrase?
Yeah, STM says it great. Like you have over a decade of memes to catch up on. I wish there was like some. Just skip it. Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
I was heavily active. I was heavily active in the meme wars with unregulated mobile phones. I was a massive meme producer, but I couldn't do anything.
Oh shit.
Oh yeah, so like it'll be just like riding a bicycle. You'll be shit posting on your own fucking Twitch streams.
Oh
yeah, be careful. Stuff like
but
that.
Everyone, well, EJ, I can't post in your chat. If you wouldn't mind grabbing that out of the private chat, his link, and posting that in your chat. So everybody /JockVision. I put that in my Twitch, and
that would be a great OnlyFans account name too.
JockVision. All right. So we've got 91 people in the non-compete YouTube. We've got 26. What do we got all around here? I've got to look at all of these different things. And I got
so we got
18. So we got like 150 people here. I want to see 150 new followers to JockVision ready for when he starts streaming.
So we have so this is good. We have another member of the Swoletariat coming through.
But not the Swoletariat.
I think Cam is thirsting on Jock over here.
What'd you say?
It's like,
I mean, hey,
he's good looking. He's a good looking fella.
I've been told, by the way, by Spirit Mayo in my YouTube chat wants me to tell you, Cam,
Spirit Mayo.
They are also, they said that they are also Mexican.
Hell yeah!
Because I was going to say that's white.
I I love. Look, it means a lot. I can see it meaning a lot. I can see it meaning a lot of things. Yo, that's a good name, Spirit Mail. Yo, hey. Yeah. So it's So you were talking about basically setting up or like encouraging people to have gone out and at least like tried doing something in their community, right? To start building, some sort of thing. I will say that, just a quick tip for everyone who's a little bit like nervous about going out in public just because of obviously the pandemic. Online activism, once again, we need to get rid of this fucking line between online and offline activism because like there's we don't need any more divisions on the left. Okay, we do that shit enough. Like just fucking get over it.
For fuck's sake, at least call it offline and online, not in real life or in real
Yeah.
world. Because
real world activism.
Real world.
Yeah, exactly. I gotta say, like one of the most entertaining things, right, was the first general branch meeting for my IWW on Zoom, and like the fucking like boomer, like they just couldn't. Oh god, everybody was fucking just. And I was just like, I'm just like, wow, none of these people, like, this is their first time engaging with it. And it was funny watching it happen in real time. Like people like struggling with like, like getting like their mic and everything set up and like, like cameras working and all this shit. And then meanwhile, I got all this like, and I'm like, okay, we need to like,
you got your Dalek voice.
Yeah, my Dalek voice. Yeah.
That costs extra.
Hey, not all of us can, have like high quality bamboo equipment like you.
I've literally got see if you can see this. I've got like a washing, like a clothes drying pole holding up my lights.
Hell yeah.
What else are you gonna use?
Yeah, I got a. I mean, look, like you don't even like. I literally have. I can't really take it down right now, but it's like a workshop light. It's like an LED like thing for like if you're like
yellow ones with the clamps. Kind of
some shit that like that. Yeah. But I mean, it's basically like it's just all LEDs. It's extremely ridiculously bright. Like the fact that like it's. Plus, I have the ring light right there too. Like that's basically about it. And obviously, you can tell I'm in a fucking basement.
Great.
Whatever.
You look better than I do with my makeshift studio here.
Where's your mom's washing machine at down there?
Mine?
When's your mom coming down anytime soon?
No. She's got no. She's at her house. She's getting ready. Yeah, to dox me again. Hey, look, though the mask is off now. It's I'm right fucking here.
Oh yeah, that's a good point.
This is my new lighting setup.
That's his 2001 Space Odyssey setup.
That's
I'm like the fucking Teletubbies son.
Yeah. Good morning. Yeah, give us a good morning Sunday morning. There you go.
Fucking great.
This is the kind of content you people tuned in for.
Sorry, this was our halftime show.
No, like
Take
it's but just to say, like there's a place for everyone to get organized. There's a way, there's some place in the revolution, if that's where we're going to be using, for everybody, right? And it has to be that way. I think we said it time and time again. So if you are nervous about getting out there to like meeting your neighbors or anything like that, or it's unsafe for you to meet your neighbors, like if you're the only leftist in like a very rural town, or you're in the middle, or you're in a country where it has already like crested a point of fascism where they are doing extremely terrible things, like on the west coast of the United States, where they're sending U.S. Marshals out to gun people down in front of their house, that sort of thing. If it is unsafe for you to do those things, you still want to participate, I mean, online is 100%, the best tool, right? It is what we do for propaganda, for information gathering. And one of the biggest things right now, in my opinion, what we need to be doing is we need to be tethering each other. We need to be connecting more and more online different groups. You know, that's one of the reasons why I enjoy plugging genstrike.org so much, is because there are different groups in there that are coordinating with each other, you know, from the SRA to Cooperation Jackson, I believe, is still involved with it. There's so many, you know, different resources that are available to you, but also being able to get in there to help these organizations stay tethered together and to share resources. And then outside of that, like there's even like intermingling inside other communities. You know, if you can't, one of the things that I like to say is, like, if you are participating in so BreadTube, and I said this like a long time ago, right? Where BreadTube did like this whole thing where it got people educated and it got people agitated, but like that's it. And it just left people angry and depressed because like there was no direction for them to fucking go. And
fighting each other.
Yeah. Right? And there needed to be something else, right? Well, now that there are options and there are people actually doing things, and there's more, and like obviously like within the Western world, there's shit going on. Hell, the global South is erupting right now. Like Chile is popping the fuck off. They've been at it for over a year. You know, you have Colombia that's been going through, that's been doing shit. Basically, there's Bolivia. There's like all. I mean, Haiti is also still going through is still going through a big motion of it. Puerto Rico is also going through change. You know what I'm saying? Like there's the people are calling out for change, right? Enough is enough. And so it's like, well, how do we, what can we do? Those of us who have, you know, like EJ, like Breadbeard, like myself, like anyone else that has a platform, you know, one of the best things that we can do is, at the very least, portray a united front in our messaging, like being able to coordinate things together that, you know, will lead to a greater, like we're always talking about optics and shit, like not appearing like we're divided in our messaging, like actually coordinating exactly like what we want to do. Like that's something that I feel like we need. And then like if you are in the and if you exist in these communities and you're in like a space that you feel like, you know, hey, this is like somebody who gets like a ton of views, or they have a lot of people like on their live streams, whatever it is, but every time I'm going there they never get far enough or whatever, and that my voice doesn't matter because, you know, they're too busy focused on whatever it is, or, you know, you're afraid of that whole barrier of celebrity and, you know, person in the community. You got to understand something. They ain't shit. I'm not shit. Breadbeard's not shit. EJ ain't shit. I mean, the only person here with any with any sort of credibility is Jock over here. But the point I'm trying to make is start talking in those communities, start finding other people like within those larger communities to like basically unionize that stream, organize within that community, fucking start bringing them over to like more radical streams, start like get involved in that Discord, you know, it like help us really. And by us, I mean like the content creators that, you know, at least share the same goals, right? Or, you know, at least can work well together. You know, and if our communities intermingle and stuff like that, like help us get to that point where we can actually do a unified front, at least like the perception of a unified front, you know, and then let us bicker and fight with each other, you know, behind the scenes, you know, but, you know, and we're not keeping the cameras on.
Also, you don't have to stain. You could stain. You don't have to stan your favorite like YouTuber personality. You don't have to jump to their defense whenever anyone has any form of critique or something like that. You know, like we're all just people. And like, yeah, if someone says something shitty and you feel like you want to, you know, push back on that or whatever, that's fine. But you know, just because that's your favorite guy or favorite person on the nets, you don't gotta like jump on it. You don't gotta like immediately be their PR person. You know, we'll be all right.
Yeah,
and we're because the drama that it creates is far more distracting than it could be good. But that being said, let's get back to some direct action. So I've been seeing some people putting in the comments what they've been doing. I want to see more of that. I want to know. I want to hear it. That's a thing to not be shy about. Please let people know when you're doing direct action. If they want to say you're virtue signaling or whatever, then screw them. You know, that if you're virtue signaling because you're trying to get more people to do good things and you've been doing good things, then they're the person on the internet being useless, not you. So yeah, so I'll say, and again, it is not to brag necessarily. It's just because I wanted to see other people doing it. So what I've been working on this past week, ever since I made the Jock that YouTube that I just sent you is the stream. Yeah. And yeah, you can stream from it. I know it's weird. Jock's typing and I'm talking. It's like it's kind of like the Star Wars talk, like and then English. Yeah, you can stream it. Anyways.
Yeah, you can stream it.
Like, you broke my train.
We all had this as in the prison training course for the last 12 years in the Bulgarian prison. We had classes from 9 to 11, and from 1 to 5 we had YouTube class. What the hell? I don't know anything about this stuff.
The YouTube classes. But yeah, so what I've been working on is first, well, I'll put them in there as well. I donated and Signal Boost, and these are very small things. I donated like $10 because I donate to a few different things, and that adds up. But one to a single black mom of 3 who lost her job and got kicked out. And I'll put those in the private chat if BJ, you want to maybe boost those as well in yours.
Sure.
And they're trying to get secured housing. Another one that I signal boosted and donated to. If you can't donate, you can still signal boost. A queer found family, the queer disabled found family that are being forcibly evicted from their home. Those are simple things, I donated like $10. And if everyone was doing that, they'd be all set. I signal boosted, so hopefully some other people went and donated. That's all you got to do to for kind of a low shelf and an easy thing. And yeah, pat yourself on the back. Tell yourself, yeah, I did a praxis. You did. Fucking and
some of the best social media accounts on Twitter and Facebook are folks who just are really good at signal boosting, actually. And I follow a lot of people like that. Not just like for fundraisers, but also like if there's a story that people need. Like there's people I follow because they are really good at like retweeting people who have important information about what's happening in the world, for instance. I'd say Camazotz is one of those people. I follow Camazotz
absolutely
largely just to see what kinds of folks Camazotz is like signal boosting at any given time. Why is that so funny? I also like your perspective, Cam. Okay, that was not intended to be like a. It was not a southern backwards compliment.
I was laughing because it's always weird. It's always weird to like have to hear people just take me seriously. It's like
Bulbasaur is a big part of it too.
It's like I want people to take me seriously, but at the same time, like I don't know. I just like I said, I don't know what to do with that. I'm just I don't know what the fuck. Yeah, it's just I don't know what the fuck to do with it. Like, what do I do? What do I do with this? I don't know.
You don't have to do anything. All right. Just relax.
Now what I wanted, I don't know what to do with it. Now that I got it, I know what to do with it.
I fucking.
Anyways, let me continue virtual signaling. Virtue signaling. Virtual virtue signaling.
Virtual signaling.
And I've got things coming into my chat too afterwards, Breadbeard.
Oh yeah. Please, yeah, that's great.
You finish yours first.
Well, I'll go ahead and get mine out. And So yeah, I did those two. I then one of the bigger ones I did was I went around. I made about 20 sandwiches, and I went around to my neighborhood, handing them out to homeless people or hungry people. And I took a minute to talk to them. I think that's a big thing. If you watch my video, one thing, you don't have to specifically, have you heard the good word of anarchism? But talk to them about what you can do, or what you two can do, or you three, or you as a group, or as a community can do to help each other. And those Ds themselves are propaganda. They are inherently going to pull people to the left when they start to realize.
There's also the idea of mass line, which is that,
yes,
one of the best ways to decide, what a lot of people they're like, I don't know where to begin. So mass line is this idea that you go straight to the people. Yeah. Maoist. Well, Mao started out as an anarchist, and I think this is an anarchistic idea. You go to the people
it totally is.
Directly. And you just talk to them. You get an idea of what are the problems of the community, what are people upset about, what are they worried about, and then you make that your priority. And then you actually meet, and then you actually solve problems in people's community. And again, that's materialist propaganda. And you also, by the way, take up fucking people's attention when you're doing it. If you're gonna go in and if there's potholes in your community and you fill in potholes, make sure everybody knows that it's the anarchists or it's the socialists or it's the communists, whatever group you're in, are the ones that fix that problem. Unless you're doing stuff that's quasi legal, then you might have to be a little bit more surreptitious about it. But regardless, as much as possible, materially signal to people that we're the ones that are solving these problems, not the government, not some nonprofit. We're the ones that are listening to you. So,
and honestly, and for people who, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Good job.
That raising your hand is so powerful. I'm going to use that in streams from now on. It's better than just interrupting people.
In the village.
Just going to do this. You fix
what? Right,
okay.
Right. We fixed our own roads here in the village in the part of the village where I live. The government hasn't fixed the roads for 15 years, so every couple of years, all the neighbors get together. We pull money to buy rocks and gravel, and then we fill in the roads ourselves with the rocks, and we fix our own roads. So without the government, who would build the roads? Right. Well, we do. Because there's no government here.
I was going to say that and this just to give, for people who don't have the means or the physical materials to actually do that sort of thing. It goes back to what can you, if you have access to the computer, if you are engaging with this content right now, you have the ability to help signal boost in your community those things that are happening. Right. Once again, absolutely. I cannot stress enough. Here's the IWW has been around for hundreds of fucking years. And they just updated their fucking website.
Oh, okay?
Yeah.
From 100 years ago.
Long time
okay.
Coming.
So and here's the thing, you don't need to be a dues paying member to assist or to, be a part of your local organization. You don't have to be a dues paying member. In fact, right now they're waiving dues for people because of COVID. So, you can still be a part of that. But being able to help people, there's a lot of prison work that is involved with hey Skylar, hi friend. There's a lot of prison work that's involved, or that for IWalk and doing rehabilitation or helping people get back on their feet after they exit after doing their time, and helping them get involved with this, where online stuff is oftentimes safer for them if they have access to the computer and stuff like that. So if you have the ability to train somebody how to use this shit, how to do this sort of stuff, and you get involved with it, that's the type of out of the box thinking that, if that's something that you're passionate about, if that's something that you're okay with, if you know Discord really well, come fucking teach me. But if you also know Discord really well, there's a lot of other people that don't understand it. You know what I'm saying? If you understand what it is to fucking do all this shit. Yeah, what up, you?
Yeah, I would say I'll let Skylar speak of this, but I'll say think outside the box too. I've had a lot of people in my chats or in my comments that were like, well, I take care of a sick grandma and I can't get out and I don't have any money. That's fine. What skills do you have? Everyone has some type of skill. Are you an artist? Are you good at writing? Are you good at tech? Hit up these organizations and help them with support or advertising or propaganda. It doesn't have to be directly you putting the sandwich in someone's hands or whatever. These are all things you can do.
But looking after your sick grandma is also a pretty important social.
That's
role.
true too. Yeah, that's practice right there.
Yeah. Okay. I just want to somebody from the chat. Sunset the MB is somebody that I've been talking to for a while. And they do some amazing stuff with like technology. So they have the ability, like they say, working on IRC network, helped get a local Antifa group together dealing with web server BS to further the goal currently. We'll be able to host other leftist projects if wanted. And that's something where if you have any kind of technical ability at all, there are so many things that you can do. Like there's like infinite number of things you can do, whether it's like setting up an IRC network for communications, like Sunset's working on, or setting up servers for folks, or helping to run Discord servers, or helping to run Matrix servers, or whatever. Right now, I think something I'm going to be pushing in the next few weeks, once I finally get myself on board and understand how this stuff works. But PeerTube just came out with a streaming service, and I think PeerTube's VOD service is now good enough to where it's like pretty robust, and it could be a viable space for leftists to put videos and that sort of thing. So I'm going to start learning how PeerTube works and start encouraging people to move to PeerTube for streaming and for hosting videos.
Hell yeah, let's fucking go.
And the great thing about that is, we're moving off of these capitalist platforms. Like this is all. It doesn't, and that's just one example. Like if you're good at spreadsheets, there are people who can use your help. If you're good at, if you can move bags of dirt, you could go work for. I've just found out you can help your community garden that way. So yeah, there's lots of ways you can help. Jock. Oh, we lost Jock.
Is Jock?
We're gonna need.
Jock had a finger.
Next meeting.
Yeah,
we're gonna.
I'm here. I'm just spamming Breadbeard.
Oh, next meeting we're gonna have to like designate a facilitator, and then we're gonna have to take stack, and then somebody's gonna need to be a note taker and everything like that. So that way we can really do these things.
Well, I'm gonna run in about 10 minutes, so that'll take a lot of the chatter off because I talk too much.
But
so that will stop.
Let's all greet.
I like you, Gab.
Friend.
Yes,
Skylar.
Hi. I want to talk about a couple of things, but they all have to do with mutual aid. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay, cool. So I want to talk about what it was like living in LA. I'm not going to really talk too much about what it's like living in Maine because that's not really relevant. But I do want to talk about LA. And what being a leftist is like being in LA, where everything is like everything is metropolitan, and it's metropolitan not even just in the LA jurisdiction, but also within the suburbs as well. And the leftist scene out there is it's very hard to get them to understand the principle of mutual aid, other than well, I'll be honest with you, it's the Maoists who are running everything there, which is good. They're good people, and like I've gotten along with them pretty well. I disagree with them on the Stalin question, but the point is that they basically are the ones that are basically giving food to people. Other than that, like there's practically no legitimate scene out there as far as I'm aware of. I haven't seen them in a long time, and like they're not essentially giving food to people. And I remember we were trying to organize something, and there was a lot of infighting with that too. And like you got to be very careful with bringing online drama into the circle where you're organizing. It's very important to keep that separate from everything, especially, I don't know. And I also, it was very prevalent in the Los Angeles area. And the thing is that I lived in an area which I'll give LA some credit to. This is where I'll give LA some credit to. I lived in an area where there was a lot of mutual aid being done, and it was right in the center of LA. And this is where the Maoists were actually doing most of the direct action, because like they were actually like making specific parks and jurisdictions anti-fascist zones, where like homeless people can basically sleep at night, and the cops will not invade the parks and pretty much attack them. It was pretty cool. But other than that, oh yeah, and also what you were talking about with the church goes in those anti-fascist zones, and they actually give out people food and meals and things like that for a couple days a week actually in those areas. Okay. Yeah. Other than that, though, I haven't really seen too much work in Los Angeles, and maybe I don't know what I would define the left wing in Los Angeles to be like, honestly.
Well, I definitely know there's a few LA anarchist guilds I follow on Twitter, and a couple of anti-fascist groups, but for such a large city, I definitely don't know. Something to touch on, I'll put it in the chat, is a great zine by someone, Stinging Nettles, who I did an interview with Mexi a few months back, that you can check on my channel, produced a zine called Tough Mind, Soft Heart, which is great about feeling comfortable in the groups that you're in and feeling secure, protecting yourself against burnout, protecting yourself with OPSEC, moving at the speed of trust. So there's a lot of great information in that might help you, Scholar. Well, you're out of LA now, right?
I'm out of LA, yes. Okay. I'm in Maine.
How's Maine? Oh man, that's like a great chilly time to move to Maine.
Oh, it just started snowing today. I'll talk to you about it some other time, but it's great. I'll let you know this. I started firearm training already. It's pretty cool.
You are near you're very near a very awesome comrade, and the name is escaping me.
Izzy Bear?
Izzy Bear. I was gonna say Bear, like Izzy Bear. Yeah.
Izzy Bear is the reason why. Okay, Izzy Bear is the Izzy Bear is the reason why I'm here. First of all, and secondly, Izzy Bear is the reason why I'm dating someone right now.
Yeah, hell yeah.
That's awesome.
I don't know.
Oh yeah,
that's mutual aid.
And also, hello, Nora.
Anyway,
Nora.
Hello, Nora. How you doing?
Tired because I just spent 11 hours breaking my back for a Colonizer holiday.
Oh, fucking A. Retail. Huh? Same.
Yeah.
How is that not the best agitprop, just having to work on shitty holidays?
Well, I don't know. I just my thing with holidays is obviously the capitalist connotations and the colonizer ones too, because they wanted there's a reason why Christmas is where it is because they want to erase other holidays and stuff. But anyways, yeah, and also the freaking I don't know, it's escaping me. The thought is escaping me.
It's okay.
Anyways, speaking of LA, I'm not sure if this is true specifically, but I was listening. In my experience, the thing that Maoists and other communist parties are really good at is being really public with their mutual aid. And I bet you there's 100% anarchist stuff going on down there, but it's a lot quieter if that makes sense.
Oh,
That's
they're rash, basically. They're rash people. Like, they're rash comrades. Like red anarchist skinheads. Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
I do know there was. I'm trying to think of the name of the group. I can't think of it. But in LA that are going around and just commandeering, squatting in houses, just commandeering empty vacant houses and giving them to people in need. They're not themselves squatting in them. They have, I guess they have homes. They're going around to vacant houses and just breaking into them and letting people in there. And there are certain types of like squatters' rights that makes it hard to just kick someone out if they've been in an empty house for so long.
Yeah. The issue here in my state is the squatting laws aren't as great. I think you have to live in there for 6 consecutive years.
Oh wow.
To be, I'm not sure. It's ridiculously long.
Y'all
either way.
squatted that whole state, didn't you? Isn't that like a major part of Colorado's like history? Is like you just fucking a bunch of people just move there and they're like, we're a state now.
That's the entire of the United States, I think.
That's a good point.
True. Touche.
Yeah. On the subject of mutual aid, there was something I wanted to talk about. I'm very tired, by the way. A lot of drama has been going on Twitter. I know some people that follow me probably saw it, and then I had like a crisis with my landlord, and I did like two. I like had to like organize all this mutual aid because someone's on vacation, and it was like 2 whole days, and one of them was new. But yeah, anyways, so essentially, there will be an article coming out on this later. I just kind of want to keep it vague for now, but essentially, we came up with this great like way to do mutual aid, and it was far more successful than we ever thought it would be. And essentially, this organization went around dropping off empty bags at people's front doors with a really long ass note attached to it. And it said, we're taking supplies and food and stuff to redistribute. And people were like, yeah, we love doing that shit. And we got like so much stuff. It was like about 2.5 truckloads of stuff, like a pickup truck. And the success rate of like how many people donated was 1 in 6 houses. And was someone saying something? It was very quiet.
No, I think it's just an echo.
Oh. Yeah, and it was very successful. And the 1 in 6 houses is higher too, depending on which neighborhoods you do. It's like insane. And there's several reasons for this. One of them, I think, is because like these other like orgs aren't doing the work anymore because of COVID. Like the nonprofits that normally do this don't do it anymore because of COVID, like the Boy Scouts, for example. And that's kind of where the idea came from. And the other reason is because back a long time ago, people panicked and bought like a bunch of like canned food and stuff, and they never used it.
That's a good point. I didn't even think about that. Yeah, that's a good point.
Well, that's if anytime there's a vacuum, I think we need to seize that opportunity. So if a lot of these nonprofits, because not all nonprofits are great. Matter of fact, the vast majority.
All of them are bad, pretty much.
Yeah, okay, there you go. So yeah, if there's a vacuum of NGOs and nonprofits and these more corporate style charities, that's a great opportunity for us to come in and sweep up that ground and take over that that role.
Yeah. That was just kind of the main thing I was talking about. There's some other ideas too as well. Some works in progress and stuff.
Awesome.
I miss
That's really awesome.
Yeah, I missed so much of the stream, so I have like no idea what people were talking about.
We've kind of gone everywhere in this.
Okay.
But the whole idea.
I like how Jack sent the same message like 4 times in the private chat.
That wasn't on accident.
Oh, you said
Jack,
that was.
You have anything to say? I don't think it was accident. Or we'll wait on Jock. Skylar, what do you got?
So I'll be honest with you. Like, another thing I'm noticing is that most of the mutual aid that I'm seeing, especially from the left, is coming from indigenous people right now. In fact, actually, like, I'm noticing specifically indigenous anarchist activists are saying the phrase mutual aid, not charity, or also they're saying solidarity, not charity. They're saying that too. Yeah. And I think let's say it together, right? Thanksgiving, we should instead work to criticize ourselves here, all of us, in this tradition that we have, criticize the tradition itself, and we should instead think of ways to dismantle the imperialist system, that in how we relate to the imperialist system, and and if we think about how we relate to the imperialist systems in our own way, then we can then recognize in a beneficial way how we can disrupt this from killing more people and erasing more history.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanksgiving sucks. It's a lie too.
Yeah.
It's very fucking bougie, that's for sure.
And it's so scary that it's sweeping even over here. I'm in Taiwan. I am literally on the other side of the planet, and they love America so much here that, like, yeah, I'm supposed to teach about Thanksgiving in my school, which is not even this country's holiday. So I made I changed. I told him I'm not gonna. I did talk about the Thanksgiving story, and I told him why they might hear it and why it's bullshit. But then this was let's see if I can get this to focus. Maybe not. But yeah, there we go. This was our I don't look at it. Why don't I show you now? That's a chair. But yeah, this was our assignment that we did. We had we had to remember words and spell them. So collective, community, mutual aid, solidarity, sharing, helping, protect. From each, I actually put 2, but from each according to their ability, to each according to their need. That was our 5th grade project for Thanksgiving.
Nice.
So you can still use that opportunity. I don't believe in pretending it doesn't exist, or that it's not a real thing. Just let people know the what it really is. Use it as an opportunity to explain.
And one way to maybe acknowledge that is like if you're with family or whatever, even with friends, do a land acknowledgement. There's a great website. I don't know what it is off the top of my head to see who like were in control of the land before the United States invaded. And Yeah.
I'm trying to remember. There was a great podcast about land acknowledgement. I don't. It might have been Bands of Turtle Island. No, it was someone else that talked about that. Yeah.
I just want to maybe a little bit kind of change the type of mutual aid that we're talking about. So we've been talking a lot about we talked about prisoners and writing letters and that type of solidarity mutual aid, and then material mutual aid. There's another really big thing that I think we've all forgotten up until now. Also, like supporting workers' unions, supporting. Okay, there's the labor movement and organized labor. If there are strikes going on, support the striking workers. It can be and that can really literally just be cash. Workers not being paid whilst they're striking, demanding better working conditions, safer working conditions, livable wages. And then also, for example, if there are strikes, helping, if there are pickets, to help unions at pickets. And then, of course, and then you can go down a rabbit hole in this situation, but then also be conscious of where you are going and who you're giving your money to, in terms of, are they in conflict with a union or not? If they're in conflict with union, I remember a story in Australia. When I was a child, every day my parents would pick me up from school and drive me. I lived very far away from the school, and we went past it basically would be like a college for like trades, like electricity, plumbing, art, and things like this. Yeah, so it was a trade school, and we would pass it every day on the way from school, and the government shut it down. And the union went on strike and picketed the trade school and surrounded it with tents, and they picketed it there for a long time. But then, of course, they couldn't go on any longer, so they painted a line around the school, and they wrote on the line, "Picket line." And years later, the school was still there and still standing, because every time a moving crew came, so the government would bowl a moving crew to come to clear out the school of the furniture and the equipment and all the tools and instruments. And every time the movers would come with their truck, they would see "picket line" painted on the floor, and they'd say, "Oh, whoa, hang on." And they would like open their phones and call and say, and they would call their union rep and say, "Hey, there's nobody there at the school. It's painted on the ground." He said, "There's some fainted paint on the ground here. It says 'picket line.' What's our situation on this?" And the union representatives would say, "Oh, just wait a second. I'll give you a call back." And they call back and they say, "Yeah, this is the teachers' union. They're striking. There's a picket line around the school to stop the furniture and equipment from being moved out, and we're in solidarity with them." "Okay, no worries. But come on, guys, we're going home." And they sent three or four companies to move out the equipment and the furniture from this trade school. And because of the solidarity and mutual aid and respect from workers, the action was, they weren't successful in terms of they got what they want, but they were successful in terms of the picket line held up without physically stopping people, just from this act of solidarity. Okay, that's all I wanted to say.
Yeah.
Was yes,
that's great. Yeah,
no, that's a great story.
Movements.
And,
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, view solidarity.
And yeah, speaking of like just getting creative in general, like there's a lot of different kind of like mutual aid and like action that you can build that people aren't really doing, but it's needed like so badly. Yeah. For example, we always talk about, like, it's a hot topic here in the United States, obviously, but like police abolition, prison abolition, all that stuff, right? But what are people actually doing about that? Like, are they, well, there's a protesting, obviously, like, but that only goes so far. What about, like, subverting the system, like subverting criminal justice processes entirely? For example, there is a lot of abuse that goes around in leftist circles, and it's pretty much due to a combination of different things. And one, it's intentional. It's a colonizer way of destroying communities and some other things. But like, we don't have ways to deal with that. Like, we don't have any organized action to do about it. But the thing is, there's already been so much research on this topic and stuff, and people need to learn about restorative and transformative justice, retribution, reconciliation, all that stuff. And they need to learn about it and start applying it in situations, form collectives to carry out restorative and transformative justice within your communities. What this does is it completely goes around the criminal justice system, right? Because I mean, we all know if you send an abuser to the cops will stand in solidarity with them.
Yeah.
And we have to stop it on our own. It's not going to stop because they want it to continue in our circles. And we have to come up with ways to go through the system. Not go through the system. And there's probably many, many, many other different ways we can do this as well. So yeah.
Yeah. And Skylar, you've had your finger up for a minute. What's up?
Yeah. I say this not to get people to act, but only to get people to critically think about like their own conclusion. So I'm gonna go on a myriad of different thoughts that I've had building up to this point, and then I'll come to a solution, and then
Okay.
you guys can basically come to what you guys think after that. So pretty much like one form of direct action that's very taboo it's insurrection, basically insurrectionary direct action, and talking about it it's very
Daniel, and you're
Sorry.
okay, no problem.
Continue.
No, you're good, no worries. So it's like basically direct action, it like can be seen like with like people like Willem von Bronson, who literally attempted to free some ICE detention center detainees. And so it's like here's the thing, like us talking about mutual aid and direct action, it's really cool and all, but like here's the thing, like, and I'm not saying that Willem von Bronson is the top standard or something like that. That's not what I'm saying at all. What I am saying here is that, like, the idea of a bunch of people like Willem von Bronson organizing and uniting in order to do exactly what Willem von Bronson did is in itself a settler colonist idea, if you think about it. And here's why, like, because like white leftists organizing a militia that is exclusively white leftists, and basically saying, okay, we're gonna go into this and free ICE detention center people, like detainees. It's just basically saying that, like, we're the saviors here. And what I feel like we should be focusing on ultimately is, we need, if us white leftists need to think about like how we're going to dismantle like the imperialist system in our own critical way, is we need to be able to defend those of color who are on the resistance, right? We need to defend, like, indigenous people who are defending their own land and trying to get treaties honored. We need to be able to do what Earth First did, and be able to stop tractors from moving. And by the way, Bear, I don't give a fuck if it sounds adventurism to you, because here's why. The reason why is because it actually gets shit done. Like, for example, what I was just about to say was when Earth First essentially put yarn on a tractor in order to get the tractor to stop working, and they literally stopped an entire deforestation at one point because of all their direct action. And it's like things like that you need to actually be able to put your focus on, and your work needs to be as intersectional as humanly possible. Here you go. Go for it, Jock.
Thanks.
Are you? I thought you were just doing some yoga.
Oh no. I haven't been on the head yet. But Bear, what do you think is direct action then, first of all? But secondly, what I want to say was people in prison don't care if you're white or black or pink or purple or left or right. Just get us the fuck out of there.
That's a good point.
I just wanted to add that. Like when you're in prison, I know in the United States it's more complicated with gangs, which is of course why the guards in the prisons encourage especially race-based gangs to keep everyone separated and divided. Basically in prison, for a lot of people, I mean, at least in Bulgaria, again, the United States is different, but basically you just so smashed everybody equally that there's a real camaraderie, and it might sound strange and odd, but literally here in Bulgaria, Nazis and Roma people who are considered black here. So Nazis and Roma people together protesting against conditions. It doesn't happen all the time, but it can happen and does happen, whereby people just the different gangs, the different groups, the different ideas and philosophies, just all of these things at some point get left behind just because we're so smashed,
Yeah,
I get that. I was thinking that the material conditions in prison, and I mean, I've been reading this book that's been basically telling me the material conditions in prison are nothing what I ever imagined it to be. It's just but I get where you're coming from entirely, for sure. What your approach is on that. Getting you the fuck out of prison, for sure. It's no matter what, at any cost, for sure.
I'm pretty sure if a bunch of white guys came to a prison and freed a person of color or whatever, the guy's not going to be like, oh, we needed a more racially mixed liberation group. Can you guys go back and come back later?
I know what you mean, for sure. Bear, I do want to address one more thing real quick. It is adventurism because it has actual meaning. It's not helpful. It only hurts the cause. Well, again, I'm not telling you what to do, right? I'm not advocating for anything. What I am doing, though, is, and by Twitch terms of service, I'm not allowed to advocate for things like what we're talking about right now. So we're discussing it for educational purposes, right? And that's the key thing here. I'm telling you how to think. And so if you disagree, that's cool. I'm glad that you disagree. Now, give me an alternative.
I don't even know why he's disagreeing.
What your solution?
What's adventurous about it? He hasn't said anything.
And give us all a solution what we're looking towards here, because we are working together. We're working towards a common goal of dismantling the imperialist system in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah,
So
and I think.
Go ahead.
I think. Well, first of all, before anything else, I say because it was in non-compete's chat, but Zombie Doll said, "Skylar, your shirt's cute." So I just wanted
thank
to
you.
make sure you knew about that.
Oh.
I appreciate it.
But two things. One, as far as intersectionality is, yeah, I think every single light-skinned person, every single white person needs to take that into account before you do any action that involves non-white people or that may affect non-white people. Yeah, that's something you've got to deal with. Sorry, that's part of the deal of you getting involved in direct action is you need to take that into account whenever you do something. How will it affect? Maybe it doesn't change anything you're going to do, but you have to consider that. I would say that. Yeah, Jock.
Yeah, fucking really good point what you just said now. Because I only found out like this year basically, or maybe late last year, but a guy in Australia who I don't really know who he is. I think he's got some like semi right wing connections, but he set up a Jock Paul Freeman Facebook page in solidarity with me just because he was Australian. Not because of any political beliefs or anything like that. But unbeknownst to me, he set it up, and I would just be sitting in my cell, minding my own business or talking with somebody or whatever, writing something, and poof, like 50 guards come running in my cell.
Oh shit!
Everybody up against the wall, and they would destroy my cell. And this happened like every couple of months, and for many years. And like one time they came running to my cell, and I had just come back from work, and the other guys in my cell had also just come back from work, and we were sitting in the corridor outside the cell, drinking tea, and the others were having a cigarette, just relaxing because we were so smashed from work, we were so tired. And like 30 guards ran into my cell, but they ran past me, which was very strange because if they're coming for me, they're going to run to me to catch me with a mobile phone. And it took 12 years for me to understand that the reason why the Bulgarian prison guards kept coming to search me like completely randomly, like it was so odd. And it took 12 years to understand that they thought that I was running the Jock Paul Freeman, the older Jock Paul Freeman Facebook page. And so they thought that
guys started.
Yeah, that an Australian guy started, and he didn't do it with malicious intent. He did it to help me and to support me, and as a way of raising attention to what he believed was injustice. But when he was doing that, the Bulgarian prison authorities, they are very Neanderthalic, and they can't. That's now a word as well, and they couldn't understand that somebody. But they couldn't even understand that a family or relative would do this. They couldn't even understand that a person who I don't know could be doing this. So they thought it was me every time. So every time a post was shared, or there was some chats or some comments or something. So guards were probably messaging the page and saying, "Hi, are you there?" And when the person replies, the guards think that's me replying, and then they'd come running to try to catch me with the phone. And and we're all just really. Yeah, and we were just all really confused. What the hell's going on? We're just so solidarity and mutual aid you also have to be really what you were saying. You have to be conscious of the people you're helping. Make sure it's the help that they need and that they request as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And compound that with if you were in a Louisiana state prison and you were black, how you'd be lucky if you just got a search, so that's be conscious of that, and be conscious of if you're helping at all, even unintended, even if your intended action actually ends up doing more damage. So yeah, think about those. We're going to start to wrap up here. We've been going about 2.5 hours. But I do want to, speaking of that, one thing that is very very helpful for prisoners, for one thing, bail funds. Please check out bail funds and donate to bail funds. But also, also phone zaps are that's one of the main places phone zaps get used is if there's a prisoner in solitary that unjustly put in there that you
Very
need out,
effective
or if
in America. Very effective.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for talking about that. I was actually part of organizing phone zaps from Bulgarian prison during
nice.
the USA prisoners strikes twice.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. From prison to prison solidarity. Look at that.
Yeah. And the best thing, I was in contact with prisoners in the United States who had illegal mobile phones, and we were networking and organizing and sharing information. And I was helping them. Some of them were a little bit digitally illiterate, like I am now with this live streaming stuff, but they didn't even know how to use Facebook pages and how to be able to communicate and things like this. And Twitter. So I was guiding them through how to use Facebook pages, getting everybody onto one page so that they can share more content and get more information out. And I just, the thing that brought me so much joy was sitting in my prison cell in Bulgaria and just imagining this prison director in America going, what the fuck is going on? Why is everybody calling me? Like, who did this? And it's like job offering in Bulgaria, in Eastern Europe.
You need like a superhero mask just for when you're inside the. Oh man! Nora.
I just wanted to say something about specifically like liberating people from prison. Like in the United States specifically, the majority, and I mean a large ass majority of people are people of color. And I mean, it's probably like 10% of white people in prison in the United States. Like that's like tiny, like compared to the amount. Like, I mean, 10% of white people like actually in prison, not like 10%. I'm saying I'm fucking this up. Please help me.
We got you. Yeah, it's a vast majority, horribly disproportionate majority of the prison population is non-white. Yeah,
it's like the inside prison population is only 10% of like white people.
Yeah,
and I just wanted to say, like, sure, like liberating prisoners is good and all, but the thing is, people want to be included in their own liberation. Like, sure, like it will be a good thing if you liberated people, but they won't follow you after.
Yeah, definitely involve them. I think that's a great point. So we're going to start to wrap up here. Back to phone zaps really quickly. There is one phone zap that I'll be participating in tomorrow for me, I guess, Black Friday, whatever that is for you folk. That is about a black pansexual woman who was found hung outside of her apartment with her lipstick and her cell phone and everything on her, like she was ready to go out. She'd already complained about someone following her, and the police just deemed it a suicide and did nothing else with that. So there's a phone zap to get a proper investigation with that. I'll put that in the chat. EJ, sorry if you could also post that. And one more, so this one's already scheduled. I didn't create this phone zap. This is by one of her friends created this. Another one, I'm trying to find a decent, is actually, Nora, this is the one you put me on to. Black boy in Louisiana was found from apparent lynching, and the photos make it look pretty obvious. They actually put the photos, this GoFundMe actually has the photo compared to the Emmett Till autopsy photo, if you've seen that, where they beat him up pretty badly, horribly. This has a lot of looks a lot like that, and then they deemed it that he just drowned. There was evidence that he was taken out without the parents' permissions by a white bunch of kids, and the Louisiana Police Department I'm not sure where in Louisiana is refusing to investigate it properly. So I'm talking with, and this is a good example. I am trying to get in contact with him about doing a phones app. I'm not going to do it unless I do, because I am not trying to add to any unintended problems that the family might be having. I'm going to put this link to that GoFundMe in the chat.
Please be careful. It's very, very graphic.
Like I said, if you've ever seen the Emmett Till autopsy photo where he's beaten up, it's got that and this poor boy, the autopsy photo. It's pretty horrifying. So, dude, I'm not going to show it on the stream, but I'm going to put the link in there. Do not click on it if you cannot handle that, or scroll down really quickly to get to the text something. But yeah, that's in there, and I'll also put that in the private chat. All right, and Jock, you have to go. So I think we can start to wrap up here anyways. I think a few of us have to go. Jock, if you want to quickly tell everyone about what you're going to be talking about on your, once you start streaming on your Twitch channel, and then you can head out.
Yeah, fantastic. Yeah, I'd really like to speak about not just Bulgaria, but also what's happening in Europe, and try to get some of the information out to Australia and to the United States, and even like information about Bulgaria out to Europe as well. So we get a lot of information here about the United States and some of the bigger countries, and then a lot of information from the smaller countries and from Europe as well are not getting out. So I'd really like to speak about those things. I have some ideas to bring in some Bulgarian anti-fascists who have been fighting for many years, and and just try to spread some information and news and stuff like that.
Yeah, and we didn't really get into much of your story because I'm sure you get tired of repeating it, but I'm sure Jock will get more into that. You know, he was in jail for defending a Roma boy from a lynching by neo-Nazis. He was stuck in prison for 12 years. Started a prisoners association from prison, and evidently even did phones apps. So there is some
in the United States.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's but so there's a lot of good info. This guy's got creds. Just saying.
There was a group that I was like remotely, not remotely. Well, I mean, it was remotely because I was in another continent. But there was a group I was doing some stuff with. It was like incarcerated Louisiana or something. There was a Louisiana group. I tried to connect so I found contact with different prisoners in different prisons in the United States, and I was trying to bring everybody together to try to build a Pan-American prisoners association. But I guess some of them lost their mobiles, and then they disappeared, and then we didn't have contact. And then some others had to get some votes or something, I don't know what. And then my activism and stuff became too heavy for me that I couldn't also then work with people in the American prisons. But there was a group in Louisiana that was very active. Incarcerated Workers Louisiana, or Louisiana, I can't remember. I'm trying to look for it now, but I can't find it. But there's an active group in Louisiana of prisoner organized. There's a prisoner organized group there.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, but it was 2 years ago now. I have no idea what it's called now. But yeah, so yeah, that's.
Well, I know there's incarceratedworkers.org. Is that what you're talking about?
There is, but also I specifically remember there was a group specifically in Louisiana that was active.
Okay, I'm not sure then. Yeah. But all right, cool. And you're going to be streaming very soon, so everyone get in early, get the pre-sale tickets. And yeah, I know you're in Bulgaria, so you got to go to work, right?
Yeah,
you got to go to the JOB.
I missed my train.
Oh no! Is there another one coming soon?
Yeah, there's another one. I gotta go.
Yeah, all right. Thanks, Jock.
Yeah,
thanks. Everyone go subscribe.
Bye.
I would love to talk to you more later.
Yeah,
I'll get you in contact.
I mean,
Yeah, well,
I would like
we'll be
help.
having lots of streams, right?
I would like help on making my channel and starting that. So like the one of the best and easiest ways for me is to be able to speak and communicate with other people, and then that brings out topics and ideas and discussion and blah blah, instead of just me trying to think of something by myself.
Yeah. I don't think that'll be a problem.
But I mean, like for example, like news in Bulgaria. News in Bulgaria, for example. I mean, 2030 neo-Nazis at the end of last month, they did like a cleaning of the park, and they entered one end of the park, and they beat everybody who they thought was from LGBT community. They beat them all and attacked them all, and they went from one end of the park to the other end of the park. And it was just, of course, it was just based on looks. Like they're not like going up to people and say, "Can I see your gay card?" And a week after, some activists went there to organize solidarity protests with that community in that city that was attacked, and more neo-Nazis came out and actually prevented them from demonstrating and holding that solidarity rally, which of course the Nazis would claim is a big victory, but of course it's a violation of the right to assemble, violation of the right to protest. And there were people watching the neo-Nazis and clapping them like in the streets. And then the same day, neo-Nazis went to the apartment of one of the LGBT activists and wrote her first and last name in graffiti on the wall. So her name is Evelina. Evelina, you will hang from Evelina, you will hang from the rope. And they wrote it in big letters on the wall. So like this type of stuff, people don't know about Bulgaria and Eastern Europe and things that are happening in Europe. Like you guys would have no idea these things are happening.
Yeah,
that it happened 30 days ago. So these are the type of things that I'd really like to discuss. The stuff that's not published, the stuff that doesn't get translated into English.
Absolutely, yeah. This is stuff that we need to hear about. That's a role that needs to be filled very much so. So yeah,
that's a good sales pitch.
Yeah. So yeah, everyone,
shocking.
Get going so you're not.
Yeah, please get going so you don't.
Okay.
So you don't.
All right. See you guys.
Mr. J.O.B.
How do I leave this bloody thing?
All right.
Leave.
Just click.
See you.
All right. See you. Yeah, definitely check out Jot. If you want to know more about his story, just Google him. See ya. Google. There's books been written about him. There's tons of articles written about him. And Skylar, what do you got? What can we find you?
Skylar Sabo on YouTube. There's Skylar Sabo on Twitch. There's Skylar Sabo on Twitter. Instagram. I don't know. I've been everywhere, man. Something like that. I mean, the only thing I really got is like that is related to this is I'm basically trying to expose fascists right now. So I've been doing a lot of like work exposing who different fascists are in different areas. Sometimes they're in the police force, sometimes they're in, sometimes they're business owners. And sometimes they're, those same business owners are part of a political city system, and they also happen to be part of a militia. So, recently I've been making videos. Not recently, but because I've been trying to settle here in Maine, to be honest with you. But pretty much I've been focusing on doxing fascists and trying to get fascists to pretty much just be uneasy with going to work, pretty much, or being able to protest. So that's pretty much the focus of my videos. So other than all my music and whatever crap I have going on in my life.
No, that's awesome. Go check out Skylar Zabo. I put in your Twitch into the chat. And also, I think it's the same thing. Is it just Skylar Zabo on YouTube or?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Okay. And also on Twitter. Thanks so much for coming and hanging with us.
Thank you. No problem. Have a good one.
Bye. And Nora, do you have anything else? Any parting words? Yes, Ra. Mumra.
I didn't think of any.
Well, you have a Twitter. I know you have a Twitter that people can check out.
Yeah, you can follow me on Twitter. You'll probably be confused by my Twitter because it involves a lot of drama that only people in Colorado really know about. Like one guy having a swastika on his back, and another person called Joseph Camp, who's a big piece of shit.
Well, if you want to know about Colorado specific drama, please follow Nora on Twitter. That's not completely true. There's lots of cool takes you've got. I follow you, but also for the very specific.
Well,
Colorado
Nora is also
drama.
working on an awesome project with me and Luna, which is
a
trilogy of books. So Luna's tackling dialectical materialism, which we talked about at the beginning of the stream. I'm going to be talking about like general, I guess, syncretic application of theory and how to be more productive, which I think lines up with what we've been talking about a lot. And Nora is going to be writing about the material conditions of the USA and some other issues with homelessness and indigenous issues and that sort of thing. It's going to be very interesting. So that'll probably come out eventually. So something to look forward to.
Yeah,
eventually.
I've been definitely looking forward to that. So.
Yeah, apparently I'm being investigated by the FBI and the Denver police for it's false, but for making a death threat against Jared Polis. So yeah, good times.
Wow.
No, I'm not though. It's just a piece
but
of
still,
shit.
is that you're being investigated for that.
I'm not. He just lies and is a piece of shit.
I don't know.
Yeah, that sucks. Well, keep us apprised on that to make sure you're safe. And
yeah.
Nora does tons of direct action. And
don't say
kind of one of my heroes.
I mentioned that.
does legal direct action.
Only legal actions here.
Yeah. But Nora's one of my personal heroes. So everyone follow what they're doing and keep us apprised, Nora. All right. I guess that's
bye. Thank you.
Okay.
I'm just really tired. Like you have no idea.
Oh no, go get some sleep then. Go get some sleep.
Oh, I have some idea.
Thanks.
You saw my slew of tweets for 18 hours straight.
Yeah. All right. Bye. And then there was The Edge. That's your sitcom. Oh, The Edge. Nice. Are you also in the band YouTube?
My short-lived. I am what? The band at YouTube?
Yeah, they got the guitarist is called The Edge.
There's a band called YouTube.
U2.
What do you? Oh,
Sunday.
Really? The guitarist of U2. I'm in the band called YouTube.
Yeah, there you go.
They're often confused. I'm tired too. I'm sorry.
I'll say
I'm
EJ sounds tired as well.
Anyway, it's been a great stream. I've mostly just been listening. But
most people don't know who you are at all. So, who are you?
You should. I'm American Johnson with non-compete. We do try to encourage mutual aid and direct action and all that fun stuff as often as possible. I hope that this has been inspiring for you, and I hope that you will heed Breadbeard's clarion call to get out there and do stuff, or do stuff online. Just do stuff as you are able, whether it's something as simple as like retweeting and signal boosting to help folks that need it, or going out in your community, whatever you can do. Just as Luna always says, my partner in crime, my comrade in crime, Luna from Luna Oi always says, try to not do nothing. And as we say at genstrike.org, do not act alone. Try to find an org. Try to find comrades that you can work with.
Yeah.
Trust. Very, very critical.
A very good thing is a lot of this, you don't have to go and reinvent the wheel. You don't have to go and start your own project. A lot of this is already has been started. There's an org for that, So So yeah, just go
Sorry.
research what you want to get involved with, and go out and join in whatever capacity you can. Every bit of it helps.
Yeah, for sure. It's like one of those things where if you don't know where to begin, I would start by finding other people to work with, and then talk to them. And even if you can't find an org in your area, find people online. There's orgs that act online. Genstrike.org. We act online. So IWW can give you training. Socialist Rifle Association has stuff going all over the place. Food Not Bombs. There's lots and lots and lots of orgs. And if you can't find anybody, then just go hang out in some leftist Discord servers or on Twitter or something until you find people that you can connect with and work with. But like, don't act alone. Try to not do nothing. Just keep beating that drum. But there is a lot of action right now. You should be able to find somebody somewhere you can work with and do cool stuff.
Yeah, so especially right now.
As Ho Chi Minh said, I'll leave with this thought. As Ho Chi Minh said, action without theory is destructive, and theory without action is dogmatism. So the theory is fun, and that's a big part of what gets us into the left on BreadTube. But you got to start putting the action in as well, and doing the work. And doing the work is what's going to help you work out the kinks of your theory and your ideology and that sort of thing. I think that the reason the theory exists is to drive the action. So please get out there and do as you are able, even if it's just a retweet or whatever. Just do stuff. Do cool stuff.
Yeah. According to your ability and according to others' needs.
Yep, that's the name of the game.
All right.
Thanks for having me on, Breadbeer, by the way.
Thank you for coming on. And make sure to go check out all our guests that we've had today. Go do action. Go if you got a family thing. Go eat your turkey. Go do what you got to do. Maybe argue with an uncle or something. Hey, Camazotz came back for the goodbye.
Hey, sorry about that.
Camazotz.
Well,
I'm back.
Well, where can we find you? Yeah, we're bouncing out now.
Oh, fucking Christ. All right, well, whatever. Hey, listen. I just want to say then to anybody that's still hanging around, look, if you are not fine, if you feel like, if you're feeling helpless, if you're feeling hopeless, if you don't know where the fuck to start, feel free to reach out to me. We can probably find something for you. I'm sure EJ Breadbeer can also point you in directions. They have excellent contacts with people. Nora's another one. Nora kept Genstrike going for a long time. for a long time. So listen, you have resources. There are communities out there that can help you out if you are feeling like you're struggling in some fashion. It's about, the first step is taking the step, right? It's about putting yourself forward to start feeling like you can actually do something, and it's about becoming part of the action, right? Because for all intents and purposes, like, realistically, you are part of a community, right? Like, you're part of this shit, right? You're interacting with us, you're talking in the chat, you've developed at least a parasocial relationship, correct? So at the very least, use it at least for getting yourself feeling like you're worth something within the movement, because honestly, we need everyone. We need every fucking person.
Absolutely. And
100%.
Go get active in even the smallest version, the smallest step counts. And if that's all you do, that's that much closer we are. And I bet most likely it's not going to be the last you do. It's addictive. You'll get to the next thing, and you'll be doing stuff all the time.
I got one more thing. Right now, this is going to be kind of depressing. All right. Tomorrow, obviously, is the fucking bullshit celebration of a massacre of indigenous people, right? We understand that. But for a majority of normal society, it is a day that most people just attribute with being able to spend time with family, right? A lot of those people are, like, for example, so like, my grandmother lives in assisted living, right? It was very hard to put her in there, but none of us was capable of taking care of her or whatever. It was hard enough to put her in there. And then COVID hit. They're in a facility that housed 55 residents. It's down to 10, not necessarily because of COVID, but because, like, people had left. Some people did get it and passed away, unfortunately. But you know, they're not accepting any new residents in because, well, COVID. So basically there's and then now the 10 people that are left, 4 of them have COVID. So my grandmother isn't allowed to leave her apartment, right? And we're not allowed to visit her. So basically I have to go to my grandmother's window tomorrow, and we're gonna make her a plate, and I got her some stuff, and we're gonna give it to the front, and then I'm going around the building. I'm gonna call her up on the phone. It's gonna be basically like a prison call. Okay, I'm not sure if you've ever seen fucking prison, but I gotta go. I'm gonna call my grandma. I'm gonna be on the other side of the glass, and I'm gonna be talking to her on the phone, and that's gonna be our Thanksgiving. All right, because for her, it's not, in her mind, it's not about celebrating, you know, the murder and colonization of indigenous people. It's about seeing her grandchildren, right? But that being said, that's going to be a very common thing going on. There are a lot of very lonely elderly people out there, and this time separates them from any sort of people that might be going out to see them. So they have literally become, you know, trapped even more so. Especially considering a lot of these residences, people are, you know, more or less dumped there to be forgotten, right? That's whatever it is. So I know that locally in my neighborhood, my wife, she is part of a plant trade thing, like just like they're weird plant people. Okay, they just fucking share house plants and shit. But one of the things that they're doing is they're making baskets and pots, and they're doing like all this shit for retirement homes, and they're sending it there at the very least to make people, you know, feel like somebody cares and at least acknowledges the fact that they're trapped in a box, even more so than we are, because they are obviously some of the most affected people in the United States. So even then, even like basically like getting the mailing address for like getting a mailing address for a residential home. Because here's the other thing too. Some resident homes like that, they don't just house the elderly. They also hold people who like whose families can't necessarily take care of them, like can't meet the needs that they or can't like if somebody is disabled and like their relatives like cannot physically take care of them, they go into assisted living, and it's not necessarily, you know, like, you know, they just basically have a nurse on staff or whatever, and it's basically just like an apartment complex, right? Those same individuals are trapped as well. They're just put in this box, and they aren't allowed to leave, like, you know, unless it's for like emergency purposes. They're allowed to get stuff, you know, but from the outside, like groceries and stuff like that, but it has to be brought in, you know, that sort of thing. So what I'm trying to say is one thing you could do is you can get find like an assisted living center near you, or a retirement home, something like that, and get the mailing address for it, and just make a bunch of cards and just you know, send it there. You know, like handwrite a bunch of like cute little messages for like whatever it is, make each one unique, you know, and send it out. You know what I mean? Just that little bit of brevity for somebody, you know, it's the same thing. Like we talked about writing inmates and stuff like that earlier on in the stream. It's literally like it's in the same way, because there are a lot of people who are already, you know, kind of alienated from their families and loved ones, are even more so because of COVID. So it's something as simple as that, you know, and then that also, and if that's the first step that you do to empower yourself to feel like you're a part of your community, believe me, that's going to make a very big difference.
Yeah. I've had to argue before. Someone's like, well, does this really make a difference? And it's like, well, even if you thought it does, but even as far as like pushing the leftist movement, but even if it didn't, you still clothed someone, you still, you know, helped someone out, you still made someone feel better, you still fed them, something like that, you know, that in itself is enough. But then on top of that, yes, it does push our movement. But yeah, so do that. Go do even the smallest step. It'll keep you active, and I bet you'll move on to bigger things, even if you don't. But it's still worth it. So,
sign everything from Antifa headquarters, and then really throw them for a loop. Be like, I got a great holiday card from Antifa.
Antifa.
Maybe they're not
Antifa. Yeah,
Antifa. Yeah, they're not so bad. They actually reached out to me. Maybe Fox News had them all wrong. Maybe they really do just have soup for their family.
Yeah, the soup for my family. All right, Camazot. So we can find you at twitch.tv/Camazot'sAltar _ altar.
Yeah.
I put it in the chat.
Dope.
And yeah, everyone go have a happy Colonizer Day or whatever you're doing tomorrow, and stay safe and stay active. Bye.
Adios.
Fairly well.